1, go.
Okay, welcome to Trigger Saturday Night. It's a good start. Trigger Saturday Night Supreme Black Matters Live. And we have with us today Allo, Mr. JR, Mr. P, other known as Oppressive Christian White Male. And we have a person that want to remain anonymous. We have the Justicard. We have Guinness when we'll ask him to shut up for the entire show. We have Wayne and we have Will. So the first topic I want to throw out at you is your first impression of Black Lives Matter and what it entails to you and what it reflects to you as a whole, as a movement. So yeah.
Did you
And
want somebody to go first, or what?
I want a round table of everybody, one after the other, and after we could just shit show, and just do a just do a shit talking about it. Yeah.
If we're here
This
for
is
a
the show
shit
from like
show,
left to right.
this is completely different than what I signed up for if it's a shit show.
Yeah,
to a
No,
little
no,
little
no,
sketch.
no, 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 no. But I want a general approach from one of us, each of one of us, one after the other, and after we will just have a lightly debate.
All right,
on
let's just start with Allo, JR, and so forth, and just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah,
Allo, questions for you.
Allo.
That was brilliant. Thank you, Allo.
Okay, Allo has died. JR.
Gr.
I think the Black Lives Matter movement started as in a good place, and then they just let social justice just run it into the ground in like a span of a couple days, where it's not about reasonable concepts. It's all about how I feel. That's what I think.
Okay, it looks like Allo has come back. So Allo.
Mm.
Wow, Allo.
In time, what you got something to say?
Shocking.
Anyway, in terms of Black Lives Matter, I liked it when it started off. It seemed like people were actually gonna just generally try and fix some of the discrimination that goes on. But then random people started joining and just like, no, everyone thinks it hates black people, and this movement needs to happen because of that alone, and it kind of got fucked up. Started off good though.
Okay. All right, so Mr. P.
Um, yeah, I think the premise in and of itself of Black Lives Matter was all right. Black people and police brutality, but moreover, police brutality in general is important. But from what I've read on the internet and whatnot, one problem with it being a hashtag movement, there's no real central solidified leadership. And there's a lot of crazy people on the internet, and there seems to be a lot of crazy people on Black Lives Matter.
Okay. And then Shilvaldo. I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce your name. You know your.
Yeah, it's okay. It's Silvio.
Oh, now you tell us.
So I think that the movement itself it's just interesting social phenomena versus any actual thing. It reminds me of the Occupy movement, right? So it's got a decent premise. However, the methods by which action was taken and is taken and will be taken in the future doesn't seem like it'll be productive. That's pretty much where I stand on it. And again, I look at it from kind of like a scientific point of view. I'd hope to think I do. So it doesn't feel like you've asked an effective question and drawn effective hypotheses. That's where I stand.
So, are you saying you want to put them in test tubes and study them?
That'd be awesome.
That would be very interesting. But if you were
Shilvaldo
to
is
like,
not saying he's an
analyze any
alien,
movement,
but
you'd get similar.
I'm not saying black people should be put in test tubes and studied.
Do
I'm
you
saying the
have? Do you
movement.
think? Do you think that it has to do with the stigma of having like a hierarchical organization where we don't want an organization of leaders and stuff. We want it to be open and everybody has a say and by effect, no one has a say. Like within the Occupy movement, you had people who were like, okay, we wanna set up these tables, and now we have to vote on it. And everybody who had a concern with those tables being set up came in, and they just gave their little piece on why it's a bad idea.
JR,
So they could never get consensus.
JR, I will let you finish, but let's finish the round table first, you know?
Okay. I'm sorry.
It's just a car now.
Sorry.
Oh, the hashtag, such as it is a thing, is just what one should expect whenever some horrible thing arises in a socialized media world. Opportunists are going to seize upon it for their own benefit, and they're going to exploit the tragedy and the pain and the suffering of people who they really don't care about to push their own particular narrative. And that's all I have to say about that.
Good.
Okay, I guess we can have Guinness, unless he's gone completely AFK.
Why does the dark beer have to go after the white
Fuck
man?
me. Yeah, forget me. Forget me. Don't worry about me. I'm irrelevant.
All right, fantastic. Guinness can be ignored. He's Canadian. All right, so Wayne.
Well, echoing what Justicar just said, I mean, to me, the notion, the actual inception of Black Lives Matter, it was probably formed with some kind of noble goal in mind, but as with all of these things, it's been swiftly co-opted by social justice warriors who want to make it about identity rather than about it being a very, very useful political tool. It's just become a shit show.
For my own part, I don't think that anything that is attractive to social justice warriors is something that can rationally be discussed or resolved, at least within their context. But one of the things that I find to be useful about them is that they burn up their own fuel. They kind of eat themselves out. And yeah, I know exactly. I know that sounded. But they use up all the fuel they need. And so I actually kind of like it when you get the feminists or the Black Lives Matter or whatever, and they go completely flipping insane because they so devalue. They burn out all the vulnerability and all of the guilt and all of that, and they just turn everything into such a ridiculous shit show that either you can't talk about it, period, or you can actually, for the first time, talk about it in a real way because all the guilt was destroyed by the ridiculousness, and so I actually kind of like them. Not for their reasons, but I think that ultimately it's part of the healing process. So that's me.
Okay, cool. So now let's have a debate about it. What do you think that the media surrounding it was obvious, and is there any legitimacy to every case that was bring by the hashtag itself? Like, for instance, the Michael Brown issue and so on and so forth. So.
All right, here's the awkward transition from being real organized to roundtable. So there we go. Justica.
Oh, I was just gonna say I don't know that they've actually done any good for anyone whose name they've invoked. I mean, I don't want to say all people who are participating in the hashtag are guilty of this because that would clearly not be so.
But at the general.
But one of the general trends among a certain class of persons, a certain class of people that we have involved in these issues, is that they're incapable of being honest. You look at the Michael Brown shooting. He was shot in the back. He was shot while he was surrendering. He was shot while this. He was shot. None of that was true. That was all entirely manufactured. And it was laid out very painfully and slowly to a grand jury who quite appropriately rejected all of the bullshit. Stuff that is just manufactured. This is a common issue in law enforcement. What's that noise?
Is GR trying to kicking?
This is a common feature in law enforcement when you're conducting investigations. There will, for any given crime of any moment, whatever, you'll have no shortage of people who will want to run up and say, "Officer, officer, I saw the whole thing," or "I'm an eyewitness." And when you actually sit these people down and walk them through things step by step, very often you realize they didn't see anything that was fucking relevant at all. The general thing that brings most people's attention to events happening around them is that they first hear something, and then after they hear something, they get curious and start going around to look for what is the source of the noise. Well, by the time they've heard it, the beginning part of the episode is finished. They weren't witnesses to it. They're witnesses to the aftermath of some event that's already happened. And then they want to, well, I don't know if they want to, but in their mind, their little brains will construct a scenario which they will then believe that they actually saw. Even when you can prove to them with videographic evidence that they saw no such thing, they'll still believe they saw it.
So would you say that the media just took like those eyewitnesses to make their flashy new, not propaganda, but more of things to get views, you know?
Yeah, well, they do that all the time, don't they? I mean, there's a million situations where they feel like they have this need to go to press in the next 5 seconds, and they don't anywhere attribute in what they're saying, by the way, I just talked to some guy. They say, this thing happened.
Oh, well, if you look at... This is a subtle way that the media operates. Like, for instance, they do this on things that people won't find objectionable. They'll say, the police who protect people, that who protect people is an unsupported assertion. What they should say, if they're trying to be objective, is the police, whose function is supposed to be to protect people.
Right.
But they don't. They just go ahead and assume that the way that an agency operates is actually in substantial compliance with their mandate, and that simply is not so. Now, I'm not saying
that's
that the
a really
media,
good point to make.
I'm not trying to say that the media are being manipulative in doing that. It's a normal assumption to assume that people normally do what it is they're supposed to be doing. But when you are a journalist, you shouldn't allow yourself the luxury to fail to be objective and precise in what it is that you're claiming.
One thing that I find just amazing about the modern press, particularly in the 21st century, is that they do not use hyperlinks in their articles. Just like a point of order. They don't put them... I mean, some of them do a little bit, but what I mean is every single time they say something, they could basically include like effectively Wikipedia entries, just little annotations right in the article. You can click and go,
One of the reasons they
source it.
When you actually study media articles, look at when they do provide links and when they don't. On things that are very much supportive of what it is they're saying, you will often find links. When they're making a claim that won't be supported, that is a contradiction of a fact, or a leaving out of a certain set of facts which would be necessary for the viewer to draw the appropriate conclusion, that's when they won't link to it. For example, when they say a new study by the FBI shows that mass murders have increased, they don't link to the actual study, so you have to go find that on your own.
Right, and of course the journalist has all that information, assuming that they're not just making it up. I mean, when they go through that the fact-checking portion of, and they do have this process.
Oh, not necessarily.
In any proper journalistic institution,
well, this is the thing. I mean, it's very common for journalists to simply link to another article and then use what is written in that article as
right. And I'm okay with that. Link back, but make it very clear in your annotations what you've done. And then you can basically click back and you can find out. All right, this is literally what everything was based on.
Oh, well, my claim is more bold than yours. I'm claiming that they do this quite on purpose to mislead you.
Oh no. I know that they must do that in certain cases, but I think what allows the bad behavior is a certain amount of professional sloppiness.
Confirmation bias.
Well, no, but it's they don't have good standards for a lot of this stuff.
No, they're using the same trick that magicians do. Magicians will show you that something is what you see and believe it to be, like it'll be a solid ring or whatever when it really isn't. They're always trying to persuade you early on that they're telling you the truth so they can lie to you later.
No, obviously there's an enormous amount of I think the recent polls of the United States was something like it was like 80% of the public believes that the media lies. So I mean that's just everybody believes that at this point. What I'm saying is that what permits the media to get away with it, to the extent that they do, is that they don't annotate things and really in a detailed way. And they can. They've got the technology to do it. In a newspaper, it may not be practical, but on a web page, come on.
All right, so I think there are differences in the way that we're seeing and consuming the information. For example, I'm in university, and peer-reviewed articles have their citations. They have a standard format for, like it'll either be EndNote, in-text citations, the in parentheses ones, and you can just go to the end and check out the references. If you're online or using something like ReadCube, everything is a live link. You can just click on it and get that next paper. And I forgot which one of you guys mentioned it, but so you also said that there can be links to other articles. And that is
Circle sourcing.
right. So what you're referencing, that's actually something that came up in one of my classes, where instead of writing an even longer single piece on a particular thing or a particular topic, you would have another article, or you'd work on somebody else doing another article on that. So this one article could be generally focused on something else. So it's not even necessarily a sourcing, it's just a connection saying if you wanted to read more about said other topic, then you can check out this article.
One of the difficult things, and this is something the American people, and I don't think people in any society generally do, is it's not enough to see that there's a source linked. You've got to follow that source, find out what its source is, and if you actually run these things down, you'll very often find that the source that underlies all of it is just another journalist saying something that's being cited and then perpetuated as a fact.
Right. So, Gio, did you have anything you wanted to say on this? You're being quiet.
No,
Okay.
you guys are covering it.
All right,
That's exactly where I was coming from with that, Justicar. It's so often I read these articles and you cannot actually find a source. You can only find one opinion piece that everybody else seems to be referring to. And sometimes you're referring back through 3, 4, 5 different bloody links where you're going from article to article looking for this ephemeral source that doesn't seem to actually bloody exist. And then you'll find some vague reference to some study somewhere that isn't published anywhere on the internet. And when you try and find this study for yourself, and you literally can't find it. And
Okay,
or it's hidden behind a paywall.
And it's accepted.
The C drive?
Oh yeah, the C drive, yeah.
Well, like,
Do you know what?
And
what
the
helps?
add to that is anybody who finds out that you're actually looking for that source, dogpile on you because you're not just accepting it as a law.
Well, that's it.
And they'll say things. Why would they lie? What? Why does
almost,
anybody lie?
It's almost becoming now. It's almost becoming like it's wrong. It's somehow evil and
Listen and
despicable to be
believe.
a
Trust.
It's
skeptic.
actually so ridiculous that it's actually so ridiculous. I have sent links to the Bureau of Labor Statistics data for earnings to 3 different people that have posted shit about the wage gap, and
Right.
apparently none of them ever responded after that. So I'm assuming they didn't look at the data because they didn't continue the conversation.
There is one last.
You're making the mistake of believing they're interested in conversation, which isn't the case. They're interested in spinning a narrative and getting as many people to visit their page and agree with them, and then they can continue to farm these people.
Yeah, and another disingenuous tactic that's a little bit adjacent to this is I was reading a couple of journalists doing this on Twitter yesterday. They were bemoaning the fact that these mass shootings happen. Like, oh, this is the 3rd or 5th or whatever number one I've covered in X period of time. I'm so tired of it. I'm like, no, you're not tired of it. You go out of your way, the media go out of your way to exploit these, to send camera crews, and to keep it on the top page of the news. This is your bread and butter. If it bleeds, it leads. You never see that. You will never see a story in a newspaper that goes something along the lines of, police officer went to work today, did his job adequately, did not shoot and kill any black men, went home and was very kind to his family, kids, and petted his cat. You'll never see that story. No journalist gives a fuck about how well things go 99.999% of the time.
All they care about is not newsworthy.
Yeah, all they care about the tragedies, and then occasionally they throw in like a good-natured people angle story to make people feel good, like, oh, look at this pretty cat video or some shit.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
almost always some animal-related nonsense. Look at this surfing fucking dog or whatever.
But keeping on topic,
Oh yeah.
GR and I
Black
have
Lives.
we had a previous discussion before the stream, and we were talking about how is it a reality that police are more brutal in ghetto area and black most populated area. So yeah, I wanted your input on that.
Well, how would he know? He's a black guy. I mean, if you want to know, ask a rich white guy what it's like.
Right.
It's a very chicken and egg situation. This, isn't it?
No,
Right,
but I want
Don't
the
mention
GR.
chicken when we're talking about black people, you racist.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
Why did you
want-
just say chicken and watermelon?
It's a very watermelon and seed question, isn't it?
let me give that some context. We're talking about the way law enforcement is deployed in black
No,
areas, in
but
black
first,
neighborhoods.
Wayne, I would like to have GR put his own.
Well, okay, Wayne,
Yeah.
that's the
Progressive
problem.
stack. Let the black guy talk.
Wayne, that's the problem. We're not talking about how law enforcement is employed. We're talking about, or deployed. We're talking about interactions between individual law enforcement officers with black people. We can't have that
do you not
discussion.
think,
But that's what
these two
I'm
things
saying. I'm agreeing with you.
inform each other?
Can
But
you
I'm
let him make his
agreeing
point?
with you. We can't have that conversation about the deployment of police officers in specific areas because there is a undertone in America where we have empirical data of the FBI. Sorry, FBI agent of the FBI specifically targeting groups of people who were just looking for bettering their lives, bettering their standing in the United States, and calling them terrorists and monsters. And I'm talking about in the 50s, the 60s, and the 70s. I'm not talking about in 2000, post 9/11. You know what I mean?
Sure.
This narrative of black people being dangerous has been going on long before gangster rap and gangbanging. We've always been considered monsters, and we've always had to deal with this oversaturation of law enforcement coming in and basically just shaking up our communities. And us complaining about it is because we're criminals, and we just want to be able to be criminals without the government overseeing our crime.
Well, here's a question: Do you think that the police are oversaturating your community? Like, do you think the solution is less police in those communities?
I think that now no, because the natural reaction to oppression is aggression. So you have all of these pent up. You have all of these black people in these communities.
Your mic is got a little AIDS. Just a
God
bit.
damn it.
A little
You
late.
got all of these. You got all of these people in these
Slightly
communities
HIV
who
positive.
are frustrated and just looking for some outlet. So
Today
crime-
you would say that it isn't oversaturated.
well, now it began. Oversaturation was the issue.
Fine, but
Now,
right now
the
you'd say it's
result is
appropriate.
due to oversaturation.
So,
So
like, what-
I can't say, well, if we undersaturate it, the problem will be fixed, but because it won't. But
Look, I can't change
adding
what
more
happened with
cops, what you have to do is you have to change the narrative in those areas, and once that narrative is changed, then you pull all of those extra cops out.
Okay, so how do we change the narrative?
I completely agree with that, Joe. This is where I was coming from. It's you've got a point now where it's almost like the situation that's been created.
Right.
It's almost untenable.
It's feeding
You can't-
into itself.
Yeah, it's a vicious circle of if you were to withdraw the heavier police presence in these areas, you would almost have this kind of mentality of we've won, the police are gone, let's fucking have a riot.
Well, there's
criminal undertone that is a result of police beating the shit out of good citizens, people who are just trying to do their job, just doing a day-to-day grind to live, and promoting this criminal. It's like terrorism. You're not going to fight terrorism by bombing innocent people. And if you keep bombing innocent people, you're going to create more terrorists.
Are you saying that black people are not responsible for the crime in their own neighborhoods?
I'm saying that black people aren't solely responsible for the crime in their neighborhood.
Are you saying I'm responsible?
Are you a police officer going into those black neighborhoods and oppressing the black people in those neighborhoods?
So let's say I'm a new police officer that just came on the beat.
Then yes, Will. The answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
Do you not think it's an oversimplification to make this about police versus black community?
Exactly.
I mean, isn't that kind of the real issue here, where that's the narrative that's being spun? But it's more a case of the.
I can tell you a little bit about where he has a good point, where JR has a good point.
Please do.
Criminal convictions come with certain disabilities, one of which is it impedes the ability of people to get jobs. And it is true that historically, particularly with drug laws, the crimes that black people are more likely to be involved with respect to the drugs they carry, and the crimes that are used by upperly mobile white people are not treated the same. They're not given the same penalties, and they don't have the same social disabilities as a consequence. So if you're a white guy who does cocaine, you might get off with a misdemeanor charge, where if you're a black guy who has an equivalent amount of crack, you're always going to get a felony.
Right.
And when you have that kind of disparity on no sensible basis, other than just moral panics, and crack is worse, it's the same fucking chemical. It's just a matter of how it's packaged. You do get oddities that arise in the system. Part of it is a self-perpetuating cycle. Other parts of it isn't, by the way. I mean, there are things that happen within the black community that are solely on your heads.
Well, of course, but we can't. But the thing is, it's like what Will was saying earlier, where he was saying, well, I enjoy watching these counterproductive people come into these groups and just fuck them over because it's good for everybody. And he said, well, that's probably not what he said, but I wrote a question down. My question was, doesn't that degrade the underlying issue? Like if you're taking enjoyment, and that's basically what's going on. We can't have a discussion about the actual issue that's causing these problems because you have people who are trying to sabotage it by saying, well, we can't have a conversation about what's driving the crime and the criminality of black communities, because as soon as you say there's an issue, you have people saying, well, it's you guys' fault. You guys need to take care of it. And then when you have groups and organizations trying to take care of it, you have people coming in whose sole purpose in life is to make that organization whatever they want to make it, and fuck up what that organization was set up to do.
That's not going to stop, though, JR. That's my point.
Yeah, what about the Detroit 300? Like, they're trying to do good shit. They're like asking people to tell them who the drug dealers are and all that shit.
But this is
right. So I have a question for JR. JR, what would you say is the underlying root of the problem?
The underlying root of the problem is you still have people in the United States of America who think that if black people succeed, their people won't succeed.
Okay.
That is an in-group out-group dynamic.
Right. And the in-group out-group dynamic still exists in this country.
And who's perpetuating that?
That's not perpetuated by a particular person.
Right. It's not perpetuated by a particular person.
But that's not going to stop either.
No, it's not something. Right. It's not something that should be like, oh no, that's a problem. No, that's a reality.
And if the Mexicans take all the jobs, then
I understand.
Jobs.
I get that it's a reality, but when we come to a specific point in time where we notice that this is what is causing this issue, we need to address that issue.
No,
That's how we
known
stop
it was the issue for a long time.
But no, we didn't think it was an issue because we had the FBI targeting black
organizations. Look, I don't want to talk about the
1950s
for the entire time. I want to talk about Black Lives Matter. I mean, you talk about stuff that
you don't think that the FBI's got agents.
I don't have any control over
that.
And it's not relevant to this situation anymore.
But that's the situation.
This is the point I was getting at. Is that if you've established what the root is, and you cannot actually lay responsibility on any individual or any group's shoulders, then are you stuck in a hopeless situation? Are you stuck in a no-win scenario?
Yeah, So that's
I don't think so.
that
Okay,
reminds
so
me
what's
of,
the solution?
if feminists were to say blame
I mean, I
patriarchy
think
on
the
something.
opposition needs to go away, honestly.
No, I'm not.
What was that,
What,
Howard?
what did
Sorry,
you
could you
say,
repeat
Allah?
that?
I
One
mean,
at a
I'm,
time,
100
please.
black men try to do a lot of stuff for our community, and I've never witnessed them doing anything harm. In fact, I've seen them do a lot of good things, like provide special programs and stuff for African Americans. But why is it that every single time they try and do something, there's protesters? What exactly are they doing? I've not found a single legitimate claim about any of the things people say they do. People say that they go around spouting terror and anti-white. I've never heard them say do anything of those such things. But I hear it every time they try and set up and start and do something in my community.
I have a question. I'm not sure who they are.
The
Yeah.
protesters is what I'm using. They are organized because they all seem to clock
Well,
together.
not all the protesters are one group. Which protesters?
See, protest is overt. I'm not even talking about the overt stuff. It's the let's say Acorn. You have Acorn, who's an organization in urban communities who's trying to help people get their bills paid, get their debt down, and get situations taken care of. And then you have these guys going in talking about, hey, I'm a pimp, and these are my hoes. Say hello, hoes, and we need you to help me get my taxes paid because the IRS is coming after me for tax fraud or something. And Acorn says, okay, I don't agree with what you're doing, but we have a setup to help you deal with these issues. So we're going to try and get through these issues that we can legally to deal with it. And then you have that guy who was secretly recording the entire thing, going on the news and saying, "Oh my God, Acorn is supporting criminal activity," and I'm gonna go on Fox News and I'm gonna say I showed up with a pimp hat
So
on
you think
and a
there's
cane.
so you think there's a conspiracy against black people?
I think that there is an accepted narrative against black people. I
It's a
think it doesn't have to
conspiracy,
be conspiracy. It doesn't have to be a conspiracy. I think that this undertone that's been going on in this country
You
since
think white
slaves.
people want black people to,
I
to
think that
not
the
succeed?
undertone that's been going on since slaves were freed is still prevalent in this country.
I mean, let me say, white people in the United States, I mean, not all of them, obviously, you know, there's a lot of fucking racist people in the South.
That's what I'm dealing with then.
Okay,
A
fine.
lot of racist people in the
fine.
country.
JR,
but the entire country is not the
would you
South.
say
It's not
that
the South.
narrative is being propagated entirely
Look,
by white
Let-
people, or
let
is
me-
this
let me be
something
clear-
that
no,
black
no,
people
I'm sorry.
contribute to?
Wayne, please. JR, if white people wanted black people in chains, they probably still would be in chains. Okay?
That's the thing. You keep making it a white people, black people thing. I'm not talking about white people, black people.
No, you
I'm
are.
talking about groups of
you are,
people.
JR.
I'm talking about no. Don't tell me what I'm talking about, Will.
Well, JR, you're
I'm
talking about
stop, Will, and let me tell you what I'm
conspiracy.
talking about. I'm talking about groups of people who think that if black people are allowed to say date their daughters, it's going to come to the end of the white race as we know it. I'm talking about groups of people who think that if white people are allowed to go to school with black people, all of a sudden these white people are going to fall into a hole and these black people are going to thrive and fuck the
So
white
do you think
That's the group of people I'm talking about.
I
I'm not
understand
talking
what-
about all of the white people.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
not talking about majority of the white
I know,
people.
but okay,
I'm talking
but
about a
you
good
drop these
amount of white
weird
people.
references like this thing to Acorn. I mean, do you think that Acorn was about oppressing black? The Acorn scandal was about oppressing black people.
What was Acorn? What was it about?
It was about campaign finance fraud.
It wasn't.
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
about
I'm
campaign
sorry. That is what it was about.
Okay, so you're saying the guy went in,
Right.
and he dressed up like a pimp
Yeah.
because of campaign finance fraud.
What was going on, the argument against Acorn, okay, that one video, I'd have to look at it again and go through the whole timeline but the argument that was being made was that Acorn was supposed to be a nonprofit and that they had very close ties with a political party, and they were effectively ginning up votes in certain communities, and they were, which is they're not allowed to do if they're tax exempt, and they were also funneling money to different groups through Acorn. So what would happen is you'd give money federally to Acorn, and then Acorn would give money to a political organization, and therefore tax dollars were going to political organizations.
Okay.
Well, can you?
So look, if you want to talk about Acorn,
Well, no.
that's the discussion.
Can you
But if
draw
don't
the
wanna talk
line
about
then?
that, then
Can you draw the line then of that issue with somebody going into Acorn asking for financial assistance
I don't see the
or
black. I don't see the
financial.
black connection to that. The guy that did that was white.
No, explain that.
The guy was
Explain
white.
that. But
How are
explain
you?
that
How are you
connection.
connecting this to race?
How does that have anything to do with finance reform? How
I
does
would
that?
have to go through
Hey,
it.
we're
The
gonna.
entire discussion would turn into Acorn, and I wasn't prepared to talk about Acorn.
No.
Okay,
Guys, I think we've gone on a bit of a tangent here, which is
Exactly.
a weird tangent. Can I go back to something that you mentioned there, JR, which is
Actually, I have to kick in with a comment before.
Oh, please do.
Okay, from the chat, from Shoes on Head, she said that black people are racist to each other all the time. It's light skin versus dark skin that is retarded too. So can you kick it on that, GR? Do you think that black people call each other crispy and white snow or some bullshit like that?
Do white people call other white people rednecks?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
Racism is racism.
Look, we only do
Racism
that
is
behind.
racism.
We only do that behind their mullet.
Right. Racism,
Okay, so
racism,
look.
and racism. But we're not talking about racism now. We're talking
J-
about a group of people who feel like they're being targeted by a more powerful group of people. You're conflating racism with systematic racism, and it's not the same two things.
It can't be systematic without conspiracy, JR.
I have something which ties into this, and I just something that came up there that I was thinking about. Does it seem to you as if these people, and this is what I'm getting from you, is that you've got certain people who have these very kind of insane, racist, conspiratorial viewpoints, and does it seem to you that to me, as a white person, if you like, to me, I would just dismiss those people. You know, the kind of people you're talking about. Hey, you know, the world's going to go to shit if I let my white daughter marry a black guy. To me, those kind of racist people, they're just crazy, crazy people who don't really fucking matter. You know, everybody recognizes them as crazy. And you think that my kind of dismissal of that as just being a bunch of fucking idiots, is that contributing to the problem for you?
I think it's counterproductive, and here's why.
Okay.
Yes, if some individual is saying, I can't let these black guys date my daughter because it's going to destroy my race, that's his prerogative. He can have that concept.
Mm-hmm.
But let's put that guy in a robe and put him in front of a court. What is he? If he takes action that is stemming from that concept, where we need to criminalize crack cocaine, but not powder cocaine. We need to make crack cocaine at a specific amount a felony, but not the same amount of powder cocaine, the specific amount of felony. And the only difference between those two is the economic situation a person is in who smokes crack versus the economic situation of a person is in who smokes cocaine.
Why that
with respect,
Whoa! Wine or will, not the two.
with respect, I think that's a different issue to what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that for me, I mean, for you, obviously, if you've got these people saying the things that they're saying, you know, the people who are blatantly racists saying these insane racist things, do you think it's more of an issue, or do you think it is a big factor or a big issue that people like myself, who don't really think in terms of this race, that race, the next thing, am I part of the problem because I don't take those people seriously?
I think that's like a common thing between again, like feminists say similar things like, oh, you know, like you don't recognize the issue, therefore you're part of the problem. And
Right, I wouldn't go so far as to say that.
Okay.
I mean, that it's just, I mean, it sounds really, really similar. And until you kind of try to understand where the other person's coming from without just, you know, kind of dismissing their position immediately, then I really don't think there's going to be progress being made. Because, like, you guys are kind of talking past each other right now.
No, he's talking about dismissing the crazy racists.
Yeah.
Well, as a white person, you're able to dismiss that crazy racist. But when I'm sitting across the table from that crazy racist who has my life in his hands, I don't have the luxury to dismiss that crazy racist. When you
That's what I'm wondering. That's exactly what I'm looking for the answer to. Yeah.
But that's two different things. Somebody saying something, you can dismiss them, and you can be like, that dude's crazy. But when you see that person that you have come to conclude is crazy, doing something that is immoral or unjust to a group, and it coincides with what they're claiming, then you shouldn't be ignoring it.
Well, that's something else entirely, though, dude. I mean,
right?
To
That's
me,
something else totally entirely. I'm not saying
that's
my point.
That's something that I would take personal objection to. Yeah.
Right, Wayne. Okay. That's exactly my point.
I want to interject here and ask JR about the knockout game, which specifically target like random people in the street, just for the kicks, and it's mainly perpetrated by black people. So
what do you think about upper middle class white kids beating the shit out of fucking homeless people while pretending like they're going to give them money?
Yeah,
you're holding black people accountable for the stupid among them. Like, I've never played a knockout game in my life. I'm not holding white people accountable. I'm holding the racist people who are in power who are imposing things on the people. But you are taking it personal, Will. You're assuming that I'm applying you to that whole situation.
What he's saying is that this transcends race. He's saying
them is a problem.
I know that it's not really about race, but the thing is, would you heard about the knockout gang being called out by black people like Wayne was dismissing like redneck or racist?
Maybe the better question would be, what about polar bear hunting?
Magic, have you heard of happy slapping?
I mean, I've heard black people joke about polar bear hunting instead of the knockout game.
Have you ever heard of slug bug?
Yes.
Slug bug? No, that I haven't. Is that like point them out, knock them out, or what?
These aren't racial issues. These are issues, I think, of the era that we live in. You're talking about a way of young people amusing themselves mostly.
Yeah, but it's still wrong to knock out people, you know?
Yeah, but this isn't a black thing or a white thing.
It's wrong to fucking try to swallow a spoonful of cinnamon, but dumbass kids are still doing the shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least anybody else by swallowing the cinnamon.
Oh, that's going to be the new trend. Grabbing people off the street and forcing them to swallow a spoonful of cinnamon at gunpoint.
So let me ask you this about racist police officers. Some of whom I've worked with, by the way. Some of the officers I worked with, I knew beyond all doubt were racists. They were not shy about it at all. But like me, they took their oath of their office quite seriously, and you would not know from their statistics or the way they treated the people they arrested, white, black, or indifferent, that they were racist from their conduct. Do you have any problem with racists being in power so long as they believe in their oaths and take it seriously?
No. Those aren't the people. That's what I'm telling Will. Like, he thinks that I'm just blaming all white people for what some people in his group does, and that's not the case at all. I'm only concerned with action.
Okay.
That's the only thing I'm concerned with. I'm not concerned with you thinking it. You can think that you would want to stab
in the 1970s and the 1950s, and you're applying that to black
lives. We're talking about actions. Will, we're talking about actions. We're not talking about how the people thought. We're talking about the actions that were still on the books until the 80s, and it's still subconsciously implanted into the system.
Subconsciously.
Yeah, subconsciously still affects us actively, Will.
Well,
so I don't
want to be judged for subconscious stuff. That's not my fault.
Okay. Reefer Madness, Will. When was the last time you heard some shit about Reefer Madness, Will?
Actually, I heard about it just last week. No, I'm serious. Concordance did a video about it. He's a scientist. He did a video about it.
So he did it, proving that Reefer Madness is real, or.
To be frank, I got distracted halfway through. I'm not sure.
Can I make an observation here? Because it does seem to me like I don't think anything JR is saying here is specifically aimed at any kind of group on racial grounds. I think he is legitimately saying, these are things that are, psychologically like burned into
Well, how do
the
we
psyche
fix
of
it?
people.
That's my issue here.
But okay,
how do we move forward?
What I'm trying to say is that I don't think that you should be so quick to.
Well, I'm honestly, I'm having a hard time even explaining what I mean, and I think a lot of people are reading between the lines pretty heavily here. Frankly, I kind of, I don't accept that characterization of my position.
Yeah, but it does seem to me you are coming across.
I haven't been able to define myself. Sorry.
No, but you are presenting as almost taking this kind of personally, which I think is is not his intention.
I'll just mute myself.
I'm not asking you to mute yourself. I'm just saying that I don't think that that's being fair on JR, because I don't think that he is in any way making this a personal issue. Certainly not against yourself.
Yeah. So we'll go in the corner and meditate for yourself for 2 minutes and go came back then. Hello.
Okay, let me. Okay, I'll apologize for whatever I misconstrued about what you were saying, Will. But the issue is your counterpoints are the same counterpoints that people have been throwing at black people for forever. It's basically that whole, well, just get over it and deal with it issue, where I can't tell you how.
I didn't say that.
Well, I understand. That's what I said.
See,
The counterpoint, but that's what I was saying, Will. That's what I was saying. That's why I said I misconstrued what you said, because what you're saying falls in line with the people who are saying, just get over it because there's nothing we can do about it. How do you fix this issue?
No. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if the whole thing is about something that happened in the 1970s, the 1950s, or if it's subconscious or it's some sort of human instinct that is insurmountable. Sorry, can I just finish, please?
Okay.
Then it's very difficult to ever overcome it, so I don't like approaching it from that angle, because it's effectively a fatalistic standpoint. I think that we can move past this. I don't know if that's going to happen in my lifetime, but I think we can move past it. But we're going to have to adopt a perspective that actually has a capability of it ever being through with.
See,
and if we go with this whole thing of, well, but one time this thing happened, or
no, it's not one time. That's the problem.
I didn't know. JR, that is a misconstruction. I'm not saying there's one thing. I'm saying that this thing happened in the 1950s. This thing happened in the 1970s. This thing happened in the 1980s. There's this thing in slavery. There's I understand all that, JR. I understand all of it. Okay, but I didn't do it, and it's not now. Okay, so let's talk about what's happening now.
That's the problem. It's happening now. That's the problem.
In your mind, it's happening now.
No, hold up.
Will, this is where.
Hey, let Allo speak.
This is where.
Oh wait, then go.
No, Allo, please go ahead.
I mean, what do you mean that it's not happening now? When I was a kid, and this is my entire life, my mom always taught me not to bother the white folk. That's how she put it. Don't bother them. I always thought that she was just crazy, literally. And as I have gotten older, I have seen what happens when you get yourself involved with those communities. I had a friend who had the living shit beat out of him, like almost to death, just because he got himself involved with a white girl.
You live in rural Louisiana.
Hold up. It does not matter. It does not matter where I'm.
It does matter. If you try that in Los Angeles, it work.
Yeah, there are dozens of interracial couples in my town in West Virginia, and no one's getting beat up, and no one's getting shot, and no one's getting lynched.
That is the point.
There are sex slaves on the other side of the planet, so that means feminism is right. There are parts of the United States that are fucked up. There's no question.
There are male and female sex slaves. No.
Okay.
Wait.
I need to know. What are you shopping for? Do you want a male or female?
I prefer the female.
I got connections. I got connections in South America. Just let me know.
Excellent.
I know the feds totally run those people.
I'll check prices with you later.
All right.
Well, this is my
location.
Do I get
this is my issue with the premise that I might be misunderstanding what you're putting. Black people have, for numerous times, black people have said, okay, we're just going to do what we need to do to survive, and we didn't ask for reparations. Reparations was offered. We didn't ask for special special privileges were offered.
You didn't
Every
ask,
time
you
black
didn't
people
ask
went into
for
their
like
little corner and said, we're going to take care of ourselves, and we
your mic
prospered
is
in those
getting
little corners.
unbearable, man.
Sorry. When
It
we
is.
when we went into our little corners as black people and said we're gonna fix what's in our community, we're gonna fix our economic problems. When we did, all of a sudden, those groups of white people who saw us as a threat came in and attacked us and destroyed what we had built. And other white people said, well, you guys need to just let that shit go. That shit happened in the 20s. That shit happened in
Like
the
when?
30s. That shit happened in the 40s. It's not happening now when it is obvious it's happening now. We were dealing with the same people saying the
JR,
same shit then that they're saying now, Will.
JR, okay, you're finished now. I will let Silvio, he wanted to get in, and so
Yeah, oh. There's just so much content. It's like whizzing by. So something about the whole get over it bit, right? I think I'm hearing that a lot, and I I I come from I guess a school of thought, saying that time kind of should cure things unless people use it as like a bad, like the events of the past as some kind of like bludgeon to like keep saying, oh yeah, and this happened, oh yeah, but that happened, yeah, that still happened in the past. And so you get a situation where, like, what's that thing? Like affirmative action, for example. If you would have a spot in a university, and the university says, we kind of want to fix the disparity between the population of African American looking people in our school, so we're going to offer X number of spots. We might even lower our standards for letting them get in. Now, that's not necessarily helping, right? It's not helping the university get smarter people, per se. Yeah, you're boosting your statistics. However, you're doing it in a slightly unnatural way. Like people that might not necessarily have the amount of interest, the preparation could be getting in on, not their own merit. So
That's actually a good point. Tom
it's
Sowell talks about that.
yeah, okay. So the whole get over it part, I again, like if there were if it was like perfect people gee, that's a really bad statement, right? That would say, sure, like we will act, really well to just because like now we're not in that era, we don't have that school of thought like smashed into our heads. But what JR was saying is that yes, people still do carry that on to the future, and I think uh, Alo said something really similar. Like, it doesn't really matter how much time passed where he is, because of geographic isolation. You can still have stuff like that going
Would you
on.
would you say that New York is geologically isolated?
So that's the interesting thing.
Right,
New
but this
York
is
is in the
a
central. It's in a location that has lots of people flowing from like other
all over
countries.
the world.
Right, and the
Hmm.
difference now in New York versus maybe Boston is that we have a lot. Maybe Boston is the same way too, but I've got experience in New York, so there the whole group the I don't know the right words for this. Like there's a group dynamic where people of likeness would prefer to stay together there just because they might trust each other more, and that's something to social
That's not where I was
nuances.
going with it. I was
This
going
this is a
this is
separate
where wait,
issue.
hold on, Wayne. Let me lay this out. That's not where
Yeah,
I was
do.
going at getting at. What I'm getting at is black people have been trying to get over it. Yeah, you have those subsets who want to hold on to it, but black people in general are not holding we're not holding a chip on their shoulders for what was happening 200 years before they were born. We're
I
holding
hear
a
it a
chip on
lot
our
though
shoulder.
still.
We're holding a chip on our shoulder for what's going on now. And
Right.
the same are, and then when you look back at history, the same arguments against us having that chip on our shoulder for what's happening to us now was the same argument that was being held against those people then.
Okay, so
You're telling me, hold on, Will. You're telling me that we should just get over it. How do I
Okay,
just get over
No,
stopping
okay, I never
friends?
said
I'm not
once.
talking to you,
I
Will.
never
I'm talking.
said
I'm not even talking to
a
you, Will.
goddamn
Wait,
one time
wait.
to get over it. Not
I'm
once.
not
Wait.
talking to you, Will.
Well, you're characterizing my entire
I'm
position
not
as
even
that.
talking about you right now.
Okay.
Well,
okay,
go in the corner.
look. There's two things I want to point out here. First of all, I mean, it's cool that it's getting heated. That's good. I do like heated discussions, especially when they stay kind of useful and functional and actually
And
serve
not
a
a
purpose.
shit show, yeah.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't turn into a
Right.
shit show, that's fine.
I
But
guess I
here's
gotta
the
put
thing.
my shit back because I was about to show
Let's
it.
try and fucking depersonalize this from each other, because this is almost turning into a fucking crazy identity politics fucking face off, and I personally don't want that. This is the thing. I appreciate what JR is saying. He's certainly not at any point making any statement that that I feel personally offended by, because I don't think he's attacking white people. He's basically discussing racist sentiment, and this cuts both ways. There are racist elements within every fucking community, whether it's a black community, a fucking white community, a fucking Martian community. That this whole idea of taking it personally or making it about yourself, cut that shit out, because it's irrelevant. It's pointless. But here's the thing, right? What you're talking about, JR, and I actually agree with you here, is that, and this is where I was getting at with the question that I asked you, is that however easy it is for me to just say, hey, do you know what? I can dismiss this because it's fucking stupid. It is still demonstrably affecting people's lives today, and because of that, it's impossible for you to just get over it, because you can't get over something that's in your fucking face day to day.
Exactly.
I have something that may or may not be useful to recall in these types of conversations, but this is something I've dealt with within the gay community a lot. Namely, in that people speak about, quote, the gay community, end quote. There's no such thing as the gay
Like
community.
it's a uniform
San Francisco
collection
exists.
that speaks
Are you
for
saying that San
everybody.
Francisco doesn't exist? Come on.
No, San Francisco does. I'm being deadly serious here. There's not the gay community, and there's not the black community, and there's not.
And there's not a gaming community. These communities are just fucking. They're just identities that people put on in order to claim an authority that is not due to them.
No,
Or in order not to feel like
point,
outsiders.
hold on. My point isn't about identity politics.
It
My
kind of
point-
is, to be honest, dude.
Well, when I haven't finished the second half of my sentence, it's a little difficult for you to say that.
Well,
That's the
what-
just the
your
corner
premise-
flow,
your
Wayne.
premise
Wayne,
is
go
a
into the
guidance
corner.
thing. Please finish it.
Wayne, you're 2 minutes out of penalty. Let just the car finish.
Suck a dick, Frenchman.
Hey, I'm the moderator in here, motherfucker. Just the
My-
car, go ahead.
My
Yeah,
only
please
my
do.
only point is slightly narrow, but it's useful to recall that there isn't the gay community and there isn't the white community or whatever. There's not a one such community. There are many white communities and many gay communities and many black communities, and it's important, particularly when it's very easy and people are sensitive to the fact that they get lumped into groups they don't belong to be very somewhat precise about the exact group within some group that you're referring to.
Yeah.
That's actually rather useful, so you don't get this back and forth about why are you saying I'm like that? Why are you including me in this?
Exactly.
Would you
How
say
do you
that?
address that? You don't know what groups
JR.
other people identify with.
JR, I want to make a
It,
point.
it starts by not getting bogged
Wayne,
down
go
into
into the
this.
corner.
Shut up, Magic.
The answer is very easy. When you don't know to what group people identify, don't lump them into a group.
Yeah.
Exactly, but
but that's the thing though. They're
JR,
lumping
JR,
themselves into that
let me
group.
finish,
No, I'm
motherfucker.
God damn it, Magic.
If they've lumped themselves into a group, then you should take their invitation to lump them into that group.
Yeah, I have
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
the
There's
thing
no
is,
such
the
thing. He pushed
thing
me.
is, would you say that JR's perspective is more of a collective one than it should be more about individualism?
No, I think he's speaking for himself.
Yeah, I know.
He's talking about all black people in the United States. Is what he's doing.
No,
Yeah.
because not all black people
All
have
black
to
people
deal with
are.
racism the same way. Every black person doesn't deal with racism the same way.
Yeah,
Some
my
black
business
people-
law
Some
teacher
black people
was-
don't deal with
Black
racism
community
at
are
all. Some
Whoa,
black
whoa,
people
whoa,
don't
one
deal with
at a
racism
time
at all.
there.
My business law teacher was black, and he was also the mayor of our town, and he was also voted West Virginia's best higher education teacher for whatever year. I forget what it was. Yada yada yada. So I'm sure his racism is a lot different, if
In
any,
that,
compared
in
to a
that
lot of other people.
In
Yeah.
that vein of thought, would you say, GR, that let's say perhaps I don't know, Ice Cube is considered Uncle Tom for some reason, and why those accusations of Uncle Tom, where there's a successful black guy that don't give back to the community, quote unquote?
Because you have groups of people who are ignorant and dumb, and they don't understand the context of what they're saying. Like
Mhm.
if you're a wealthy black person who live in Beverly Hills, and 90% of your neighbors are white, and 90% of your neighbors are progressive, and 90% of your neighbors just enjoy having your colorful self around. For you to go to Baltimore and tell those black people who are dealing with the issue in their town that they need to just pull themselves up by their bootstraps and change the way they think about the world around them, you're a fucking idiot. You're not Uncle Tom, but you're an idiot.
See, JR, this is why, and this is why you have to make the assumption, and this is where I think, the difference between me and Will in this particular instance is that, and this follows on from what Justicar was saying, you have to make the assumption that whenever somebody is speaking, whether it be collectively or otherwise, they're really just speaking for themselves. They're not speaking about anybody else's experience because they fucking can't.
Right? I
Good
think I
point.
think we're so worried about having empathy for other people that we'll end up like social justice warriors that we can't even handle talking about those concepts. Like
Oh,
I don't know jump from Will, but I'm not going to assume that Will is a horrible person who wants to bring slavery back just because he's white. You know what I mean? But you have people who will.
Let me be very clear. I would die. I would die to make some small contribution against it if it started in my country.
Yeah,
I would
I
die.
agree. I agree.
in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, there
So
was a
getting
slave
lumped in with those
insurrection
people
in the
is
1850s.
frankly, it makes me a
Will,
little
go
insane.
into
And a
the
lot of
corner.
white people died to try to make that successful.
Here,
So-
reinstate your point because it
I-
got lost in transition.
Yeah, in Harper's Ferry, West Virginia, there was a slave revolt led by John Brown and other white abolitionists to take over the armory there and arm a bunch of slaves.
And it
Long
failed.
story short, it didn't work well, and after a few days, they all died.
In fact, the first casualty of it was actually a slave who got caught by crossfire. That battle, and then the next casualty was John Brown's son.
Yeah,
Right,
I'm a descendant of John Brown, so that's one
Oh,
reason I know.
Then you will know the story as well as I, at least.
I don't know why the disconnect is between it, because through every struggle with another group of people, the people who were seen as the group in charge always had individuals who would fall into that group who were fighting to help that other group. Like that whole Black Lives Matter where they went to Bernie Sanders' fucking rally and they demanded the mic, and when they got the mic, they didn't have shit to say. And then rather than admitting that they didn't have shit to say, they started attacking the people in that group. That is what told me that the Black Lives Matter movement has let the shit in.
The cars.
It's. Can I ask you a question? Then this will probably sound a little bit racist, but oftentimes I see, and particularly in democratic societies, not so much in other ones where people don't have the choices that we have. When I see a group that has the political ear of people in charge, like for example, Black Lives Matters, because the media is very much important. I'm sorry, because the media is very much invested in making sure that black people get their voices heard. I can't.
I think it's more about sensationalism than.
Oh yeah, no. To be sure, that's part of it too. But it's a convenient way to do it because people are interested in racial issues. I completely agree that sensationalism is a part. In fact, I think it's a substantial part. But putting that off to the side, it is to the discredit of a group when they don't actually exploit that for a good reason. For example, one of the problems I mentioned that impacts black folks in urban communities, particularly poor urban communities, is the drug disparity sentencing thing. You guys got in the White House, a guy who's half black and who claims to sympathize with the plight of inner city, urban poor black youth, and yet he has done nothing to assist you. For example, one of his acts of benevolence was to issue a pardon to like 30 or 40 people. You guys, if you organized well, you could get a serious go at having a president who would fight the Congress on this issue to make sure that the justice that should be there is brought into harmony. For example, he could just make a blanket pardon to all persons in federal prison convicted of drug crimes. That all the yes,
he wouldn't have to do any of that. He would just have to carry out all of the shit that he said he would when he was running in 08. And I mean, legalize or decriminalizing or legalizing drugs.
No, what I'm saying, I'm not talking about general policy. I'm talking about effective, concrete steps that could be taken. He could tell the Congress, until you rewrite the laws on this, you will have no one.
There's a moratorium on it, right?
Yeah,
right.
Yes, but see, there's a distinction between the political argument and a distinction between the powers that the president actually has. He can't force Congress to pass a law directly, but what he can do is, he can't actually prohibit its enforcement either. That would be unlawful. But he can pardon everyone. Like once a week, he write a pardon and hold the line on that. If he'd held the line on that for 8 years, I guarantee you would have the reforms in the criminal justice system that would be advantageous and not disadvantage black folks in the way that you see.
I understand this is an aside, but how many presidents have done just that, where they decided,
None.
What?
We elect cowards.
Right. The enforcement part, where they pick and choose what criminality they're going to enforce. Where we're tough on crime when it comes to petty crime, but when it comes to white collar crime, oh well, maybe they didn't know that they were stealing hundreds of billions of dollars from their customers.
The problem with white collar
they'll just give
crime,
us some money and it'll be okay.
Yeah, the problem with white collar crime is that you have corporations and not sole proprietorships. If we didn't allow corporations to exist and only allowed partnerships or sole proprietorships to exist, then we'd have these people legally responsible for the actions of their company instead of the empty husk of the corporation.
Yeah, and I can tell you why. I can tell you why you see the enforcement that you see. Prosecuting drug crime is monetarily advantageous to agencies because they get to keep the proceeds. It's also easier to prosecute and to detect because a lot of it happens in the open. The backroom deals are very hard to discover until after the damage is done. That's one of the reasons you see in the decisions that are made. The other is there's a moral panic about drug crime. It's pushed by politicians and it's pushed by the media all the time. Whenever
it's spun up by the people who are pushing it.
Yeah. Whenever you see a problem that's referenced in the inner cities, it is the go-to. Well, we need to do something about these drugs. Yeah, those are a symptom of a problem. They aren't the problem themselves.
Well,
we all say that there's symptoms to a problem. What are the issues that caused the situation in the first place?
We've had thousands of years of figuring out ways to fucking hide what we're actually doing, Magic. So most issues that we're dealing with now is so fucking gray that there is no way to target it and actually take care of it. Like the war on drugs. You can say, okay, we're going to arrest all the people who sell drugs. How's that working for us?
Can we have like a reverse slippery slope here and start at like some kind of issue and try
That's
to
called an escalator, and escalators are the devil's plaything.
JR, I have a question.
So like actually trying to find the top of this, you'd end up going up and say, oh, it's socioeconomic issues, and that's caused by whatever economic system we're participating in.
It's so wide and so broad and so vague that we can deal with.
So Shilvio, in your opinion, what is the root cause?
I genuinely think that like there is no actual root cause. It's how we decide to continue dealing with it.
We're at a point.
See, but that's the irony of it, Wayne. That's the irony of it.
JR, this is my point, dude. This is my point, because you're at a stage now where you have these people for whom it's almost this ingrained kind of ideology for them. This whole kind of racist shit flinging that's going on.
Right.
It's almost impossible to bring it to an end because you would need to find some sort of you need to find some sort of concordance between two very, very disparate groups who have literally no means of being compatible with each other.
But that's
I don't think there is a solution.
just demonstrably false, though, because the people who are most affected economically in our societies are the ones that are the most stringent fucking bigots, basically. So you got a railroad track running through a city. And on one side, you got poor white people. On the other side, you got poor black people. And the poor white people and the poor black people are beating the shit out of each other because they see each other as the enemy. Meanwhile, the factory owner lives in a mansion at the end of the fucking railroad.
I mean,
how do you put an end to that? That's my point. I don't see that there's a way of getting
take
people
those
to agree with each
idiots.
other.
You take those idiots together and you say, you see this? You see his shirt is just as shitty as your shirt. You see that his house is just as shitty as your house. You see that 90% of your life is exactly the same as this person's life. You guys got more in common than you got against each other.
Let me give you a scenario then, dude. Okay, you get some fucking guy coming and telling you this. What does this person look like? Is it a black person? Is it a white person? Who's organizing this? Hey, we can't work with these. We can't work with these black people.
That's why you bring more than one person. You have that black guy talk to the black people and the white guy talk to the white people, and then everybody
listen to this guy. This guy's not from around here. He doesn't fucking understand what we go through. He's talking shit. He's just on the side of the fucking white man, or he's just on the side of the darkie.
Yeah, I get that. I get
I'm happy that I live in an area where most people are poor, no matter if they're black or white, and
one at a time, bitches.
Yeah, you have this ingrained xenophobia that you cannot cut through. I don't see that there's a solution here. I really don't.
All I can tell you is that conversation would actually go, my projects are just as shitty as your trailer park.
Right.
Right.
Well, I live in a place where almost everybody's poor, and there's a lot of black people, and there's a lot of white people, and there's not a lot of black on white racially motivated crimes.
Right, because people,
it's poverty.
Because the area that you live in is populated with people who have some brain cells versus majority, I gotta say, of the rest of the fucking world, where you got these people who think, well, they're a little different than me, therefore they're my enemy.
Maybe it's the addiction to Oxycontin that just doesn't motivate people to commit racial crimes or something.
Maybe if everybody smoked a lot of weed, like everybody, like, hey man, let's get high together. If you get high with somebody, it changes your outlook on their life.
JR, if you were just like God Emperor of the United States, right? You had like complete and total authority. You could pass any law. There's nothing in your way. You could just make anything happen just by telling people to do stuff. How would you resolve the situation?
More blowjobs.
You'd only have the power for, I don't know, a year or something, but you could set rules in place. Okay?
420 would be mandated by law. Everybody has to get high. Even the children. Fuck the children.
What about people allergic to weed?
Hey, it's by law.
So, do we get too serious? I mean, I'm just wondering.
Well, I mean, it's an absurdity, and I'm not the leader type. You know what I mean? Because I understand that my perspective is not the majority perspective.
You don't have to get anyone to agree with you. You're God Emperor.
Whoa! You said that you're not the leader type. That make you by default a follower?
No. Because you got leaders, you got followers, and you got those people who just stand on the side and say, that's just dumb.
Yeah,
that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to get you to offer up a solution is what I'm trying to get.
See, but that's the thing. That's the thing, Will. The problem is the solution is a fucking 50-month conversation. It's not a 10-second bullet point that make babies, give every baby a gold bar. It's not a fucking solution like that. It's a complex problem that needs a complex solution.
Well, we're never going to have that conversation though.
But that's my point. We can't have that conversation because
that means we're fucked.
People take offense. Well, we can't have that conversation now.
Look,
But
Look,
we can't have the conversation
can.
later.
We are on the stream, motherfucker.
having-
Have
Yeah, I
that
think we can have the
conversation
conversation right now.
We're having that conversation, but
one
what JL means by that is we can't have that wider conversation in a way that everybody's going to fucking listen.
Right,
Yeah.
we have to bring everybody's issues to the table and deal with those issues as they come,
One of
rather
Right.
than
one of the things that's going to bedevil these conversations for the foreseeable future, or probably all of the future, is that the greatest obstacle to a solution is that we're not capable of pinpointing the actual problems to be solved, and that's the first step.
Yeah.
I agree.
and
with
if you do think you have a strong grip on the problem, you got to deal with the people who benefit from that problem and are just going to slate you as a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, dude.
One of the
Well,
greatest
it was a
problems.
magic car thing.
One of the greatest one of the greatest problems in intellectual life is working under the false premise that you actually understand the problem you're addressing. It is very easy for people to persuade themselves that they understand something when they've understood nothing at all. And with issues of this nature that have been with us since the beginning of humanity, no one really understands how these systems operate.
And I'm going to say, Justicar, that you're a fucking racist because you just told a black guy that he didn't have an understanding of the problems of the universe. No, I am using my privilege as an oppressed class to make it claim that a white person is doing something that they're not doing. Damn it!
Okay,
Let
so
me-
you're-
let me-
you're,
hold on, wait,
your feminist
wait,
logic
wait,
has
wait,
no
wait.
logic here, dude.
Wait, I've just been accused of racism, and I'd like to respond quite sincerely. I'm white. I don't hate you because you're black. It's just because I'm white. It's not.
But you got friends.
It's not you that are so low. It's me that is so high.
But we
See,
get
this is a problem with the black community. You think you're important enough for me even to hate you, and I don't.
Wow!
Oh my god.
I mean, who do you think you are? God. You know, I can
You're
see
white
if,
or something?
if you were cleaning my windows, I'd probably pay some attention to you.
Wow.
But you don't even do that.
See, I haven't been paying attention to the progressive
See,
stack,
all
so
white people.
I'm not actually
Hashtag
sure.
all white people.
Does blackness or homosexuality, which of these trumps the other? I'm not really sure these days. It's become a bit of a jumbled mess.
Well, we
a
just got
black
the right
trans woman wins the lottery.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
rule.
handicapped
Thanks.
black trans.
Thanks for clearing. Oh, handicap.
Hey, JR.
But JR, I've got to be honest with you, dude. I think that part of the problem is that like a lot of what you're saying comes across as like you've got an ideological outlook that is largely very positive, very sensible, very practical. But I have no faith that you could convince
Other
even
people
a
to
small
do it.
minority of people to
exactly.
go along with you. That's the
See,
issue.
And that is why I will be in the pub in the Chicagoland area recruiting people, because I am starting a new party. It's called the Socialist Workers Party, where we will talk about all of the issues that affect us all.
And that's what we got going.
And you're gonna be at the beer hall in
And it's
Chicago.
it's the damn furries' fault. They're
And they'll
holding
be
us all
I-
down.
JR,
We need to exterminate all the furries.
JR, I had a
solved. Now,
problem.
who can't agree
Well,
to that?
that means you're gonna go to jail
JR.
after that because it's gonna fail, and you're gonna end up writing a book.
JR, I had a problem that I wanted to address as your first topic on the Socialist Party worker bullshit thing.
Why are there so many black people? Solve that problem.
No. But the tweef thing. What's up with that? I mean,
Did you say that queef thing?
Yeah. Oh my God. Have you guys seen the Weave loan commercial? Like, you can get a loan to pay for Weave.
it's fucking crazy, man.
Right.
I have to deal with this in the
We
past.
can talk. We can
How
talk
much
about
you know,
weed.
Surprise.
We can talk
You know
about
what
weed
weed are?
when you motherfuckers talk about spray on tan.
No. Fuck you.
If you want to have a conversation about spray on tan, then we can talk about weave.
No. You know
One
what?
at a time. One at a time. The
Weed-
weed thing
Look,
first.
Weeds
Mr. Ra-
are
Mr. Ra-
cultural appropriation. So fuck
Mr.
you,
Black
trying to steal
Racist Man.
white culture.
Mr. Black Racist Man, I have 2 words for you with your spray on tan remark. John Boehner.
Hey, he's going to be black in a couple
No,
of
no, no.
months.
How about two other words? Michael
It's going to be an
Jackson.
Oompa Loompa is what he's going to be.
Jeez.
Look, Michael Jackson bleached
turned
himself.
orange.
Okay. Oh, speaking of legalizing cannabis, in the UK election this year, there was a political party called Legalize Cannabis or something like that.
Yes, there was.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the election results and I noticed that they were getting some, but not many votes.
We didn't have a local candidate, or I would have voted for them.
They were going to show up, but they forgot.
Wow.
Okay, so I will go with the question that I had on the thread before. So it will target the black guy. If Allo wants to respond, he's open to respond to. How have you seen change on your local community for the better of the or worse? And how would it change? How would you change it if you had political power?
I'll translate that into Chicagoan. Are more white people, are more white people moving?
He's from
in?
Louisiana. He's not from Chicago.
Oh, okay, Louisiana. Are more white people moving in where you live or not?
I actually have a quick one-word answer to this, and this is the change that would fix everything. And you just hinted at it, Justica. The one-word answer is bleach.
Yeah.
That's
Every
it.
black person hashtag every black person should become trans white.
Yeah. Problem solved.
Problem solved. But then,
Okay, I got
then the
another
issue would just
question.
move.
I got another question for the public. Is there racism in the job market, or are there other possible reasons why some views there is oppression against non-white in higher-paying job?
Can I answer that with a question?
Yeah,
Are human beings racist?
yeah, but
Then that's the answer to your question. I mean, the people who are doing the hiring are human beings. There's always going to be some sort of bias, whether it's
whether it's going to be
race,
positive.
hey, I'm
or
just
gender.
reading the question from Biotic, so hey.
You know,
Well, but
You know,
but biotics
people-
should know better.
people use the term reverse racism to claim that other people, oppressed people, can't be racist. I think reverse racism is when you have, like, say, a white or a black person who decides that they're only going to hire people who are of another race. Like, that's reverse racism.
Right.
Being of any group of people and deciding that you don't like a person because they fall into another group and it's based on a race, you're racist.
So
Let's say,
by
let's
that,
say, by
would you say
reverse
affirmative
racism,
action
no,
then?
fetish will. By that saying, would you
I am
say
a
that
little
if I
fetish.
say black people have bigger dicks in general, that would be reverse racism?
All
Because
I
I'm
can
making
stereotypical.
I don't know, because if you say that
Not
Chinese
racist.
people have slanted eyes, would that be a racist
Yeah,
comment?
isn't that
Yeah.
a scientific?
yes,
fact?
it would be racist.
It is empirically
No.
proven that black people have bigger dicks than everybody else.
A
All
better
I
Every
can-
one
question.
of us.
Look,
A
all I
better
can say to
question,
that
dude,
is,
is affirmative action racist?
look, all I can say to the
Yeah,
big dick,
but affirmative action was a response to something to prevent people from rioting.
all I can
Does that justify racism?
No.
Oh my God.
No, it doesn't.
Okay.
What I can say about the racist, the black guys with the bigger dick things, is I checked this with a guy from Louisiana, and all I can say in response to that is laissez-les bon temps rouler.
All I can say is I looked at the whole
Speak
bar
English. This
chart.
is American. Speak American. This is America.
Laissez-les bon temps rouler. The Louisiana
What does
guy,
that mean?
the Louisianan will get that.
Translate for us, Magic. What does that
They
mean?
don't teach French in America, do they?
Yeah, they do. I took French, but I can't remember
Oh, okay.
what.
Why would they teach us French? It's a
Exactly.
useless language.
When
Yeah,
when I was in high school,
I'll
they
move
taught
on.
French and Spanish.
Move on to Louisiana guy, aka Hello. What is your input on that?
On that French statement, well, I'm not Cajun, so I don't know much French.
Yeah,
You know
racist.
Japanese. You got to know some
What
French.
the hell? Oh my God, your parents have failed you, son.
Je ne comprends pas. That's
I
all.
mean,
I don't want
Asian
the best
community
phrase you need to
anyway.
learn in
Oh,
any language.
I'm sorry.
is
I'm
I don't
sorry.
understand.
I didn't speak in your native language. Allow me to say it in Southern. Laissez les bon temps roulade. Do you understand now or not?
You sound like,
Boo,
some
motherfucker.
of my teachers, so I understand you perfectly.
That is a great achievement for a Southerner. Actually, truth be told, by birth and raising, I'm Southern.
So you're saying you're a racist?
No, I'm saying that when my parents got divorced, they were still brother and sister.
Wow. Hashtag White Lives Matter.
No, that's White Lives Matter.
No.
White lives.
It's not incest if she's hot.
Oh,
It ain't incest if you scream out somebody else's name.
Yeah, there you go. That's another good one.
Look, incest is that's just a way of purity. Because if a bitch comes to you and she a virgin, that means she ain't good enough for her family, so she definitely ain't good enough for yours.
God
Exactly.
damn. No, that is not an exactly statement.
If her pa ain't have her, then she ain't worth shit.
God damn.
I'm like, what? Yo,
This-
daddy won't hit that shit. Get out of here, whore.
That stream is devolving into incest joke, but yeah.
Who's joking? Who is boy, I'm not joking.
You're totally serious there. Let me tell you something. Yippee-ki-yay.
You know, where I come from in the look, Mr. Canadian, where I come from in the South, the men are men and so are most of the women.
Fair enough.
You ain't never had your lip slapped till Winnebago Mountain Woman took you aside. Mm-hmm, sure enough.
My thing is how, like, back to like, who would be able to present the tale that brings us all back together? An alien?
Oh, Bernie
Like some
Sanders
new
is
guy?
the Lord and
Well,
Savior, bro.
look at all the work.
No, Bernie Sanders is an old fool. That's what he is.
Look
Well, I'm
at
glad you think that way, JR.
look at
because
all.
he thinks that he needs to fix the pay gap, and he needs
Yeah.
to promote violence
Bernie
against women
Sanders
act,
is
and he needs
financially
to.
illiterate.
Look, I don't have a perfect
Well,
solution.
Most politicians are. They don't know what to do with money.
I don't have a perfect solution, but look at all the good work Robert E. Lee did to join the union. I think there's promise there.
See?
Do you have
Look
a
at
final
this fucking
solution,
players.
maybe?
No, I have a penultimate
Kill all the
solution.
furries. I said that already.
Ultimate solution. Beautiful.
I have a penultimate solution. I
Penultimate.
haven't worked out the final one yet.
Let's try the penultimate solution, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Well, so I'm channeling Robert E. Lee.
Excellent.
I mean, that and Jefferson Davis, they did a lot to bring the Union together. It was all divided back then.
You can't give them all the credit. You got to give their black mistresses some of the credit. Come on.
So in a bid to get this discussion back on topic, do you think there is something inherently racist about the idea of hashtag Black Lives Matter?
Inherently or in practice?
Inherently, rather than in practice. In practice,
You
I
mean
think
just
that's
with the
already
name?
been demonstrated, but inherently, is it racist?
Yeah, you mean with just with the name, right?
Yeah. And inherently, is that a racist concept?
No, I don't think it necessarily is.
To other races, it is.
No, because saying Black Lives Matter doesn't perforce say that other lives don't.
Okay.
Tell that to the people who are like hashtag all lives.
JR, forget about those people. What's your view on it?
But that's practice, not logical requirement of the
How
statement.
would you feel about a White Lives Matter hashtag?
I
If
wouldn't
white
believe it.
people were, if white people felt like they were being oppressed and being attacked and killed in the streets, and they had a
which is
hashtag,
As Washington
White
Okay.
Lives- you know, okay,
That
here's my favorite saying from one of the evil fucking Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
White
Hillary
power
Clinton.
to white people, red power to red people, black power to black people.
And blue power to
There
Smurf.
were no blue people at the time. He didn't know
Well,
about
Blue Power to Smurfs, dude. Come on.
Yeah, well,
hashtag Smurfs aren't real.
I want to take up something. I want to take up something that you said. You said if white people are feeling like they're oppressed and under slaughter and attack in the street.
And there's legitimate evidence that they're being oppressed.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
No,
Let me
it's a
give you.
feeling.
No, no.
Well,
JR, can I give you an example of that?
Well, hold on.
Because,
Well, I was going to.
My heritage is Northern Irish.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
Right.
Do you have the Irish curse?
Dude, Irish are the black people who are pretending to be white people right now.
Look.
Look.
I watched Charlie Angels 2 with Bernie Mac, and he said, "You ain't never heard of no black Irish."
Exactly.
Right.
My family
But that's-
died from foot and mouth disease and the potato famine.
That's the thing that I find astounding about the human race. Like, you'll have a group of people who are being stigmatized and like just treated like shit. And as soon as the second group of people who are being stigmatized and they're treated like shit, those are the loudest motherfuckers who are stigmatizing and treating the other group like shit.
Yeah.
Like, well, it ain't us no more.
more.
Time for us to jump on the bandwagon and start treating them like shit, so we don't get treated like shit anymore.
See, this is where I was coming from earlier on when I was talking about identity and identity politics. I mean, human beings and anybody who studies human beings in any fucking context will tell you this. Humans tend to form societies based around similarities rather than differences, because that would be fucking illogical. So this whole idea of it's where I can almost agree with feminists on this idea of race is a social construct, because in a way they're actually correct, but the way that they're applying it is completely incorrect.
Totally asinine, right?
Right, but the societies that we form and the way that we form societies is entirely a construct of our surroundings and of our experiences, and this is the issue. I think that I think maybe it's more difficult because an English person looking at me would have a hard time realizing innately that I have this background which is Celtic, because I sound like I'm from the Scottish borders, and I don't look like an Irishman. So it's very different for me than it is for you. This is why the idea of blacks are Irish are the blacks of Europe, it doesn't quite hold water for me, because for you the color of your skin is very noticeable,
Yeah, and
but
he doesn't look Irish, which means he doesn't have a sheep attached to him.
wow.
Yeah, or a leprechaun on my shoulder.
You don't?
No, I don't, dude. I've never found one. I've been looking for the little fuckers, but they don't seem to be anywhere.
You know what's funny about that, Wayne?
I've gone out and I've captured a midget, and I keep them in the basement. But,
You should get a suitcase.
You know what's at the end of the rainbow?
You know
Is me and
what's
my
weird
friend, we
about
stab you
that,
in the
Will?
gut and take your last.
You know
Yeah,
what's
sure,
weird
come
about
on.
that? You know what's weird about that concept? Trauma is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
If you put a white guy, the biggest fucking white racist you can find, next to the biggest black racist you can find, if you put them in a fucking firefight, they're gonna be fucking basically connected at the hip. They're gonna be best buddies. They're gonna be calling each other brother and all of this shit after they leave.
No.
Yeah.
No. Brother is our word. You can say
Really?
you can say brother, but not brother.
Yeah, you can say brother
Wow.
or
Well, you
bro.
see, this is
Like
the
my
thing.
brother.
Right now, this hangout that we're a part of, it's yet another, it's yet another society that has been constructed by the things that we all have in common, and in some cases
We
it's
all
very
like Big Mac.
ephemeral.
If
Exactly, dude, exactly.
If a mountain of feminists and social justice warriors raided this talk and started attacking all of us, we would all
Yeah.
very very easily find the commonalities between us and unify between them.
So,
But,
So it's-
you know,
it's-
I
it's-
think,
so-
but
so
to be
it's-
honest, I think
so-
Phil would just
so-
shoot me in the back of the head.
So- This is where I'm coming from. This is the solution right here. So what we need to do is we need to find the commonalities, and this is a big part of what this podcast, what this channel is all about. It's about finding those things that we can find common ground in, and so surely the solution is to find the common ground, and if necessary, find the common fucking enemy.
Yeah.
I think
So
that
unite under that banner.
The issue is the same thing that Will raised before. Like, okay, we found a common ground, we found a commonality, but who's presenting it to each side?
Look, all I can tell
Yeah.
you is if you're right and the feminists do invade here, I'm going to do with them exactly what I would do if I were on a plane and terrorists took it over. I would look that terrorist right in the eye and say, okay, I'm in. What do I do?
Oh my god.
Who's this? Do I have
I'm
to
sorry, you
trust
gotta
to be
say I'm
part of
sorry.
this?
So the solution is another civil war.
No, I don't
No.
think so.
No,
That's
the solution
no
isn't.
race war.
To be serious for one moment, I think that the big issue around all those matters is collectivism versus individualism.
I
Like
was
thinking
gonna-
of yourself first.
I was
But
going.
Magic, at one level though, isn't collectivism kind of an essential part of being a part of a society? I mean,
Not if
this
you're
Oh,
a
is-
dude,
society.
that's such a fucking British thing to say.
Hey,
Oh, fuck off.
Civic duty, blah blah.
I am about as atypically British as it fucking gets. So I
no,
resent
but
that statement.
Wayne, to answer you, I will say that no, it doesn't have to be. If your society is focused on individualism, you can run it like that.
All I can say to
Okay,
that
but
is.
it's not. Our societies aren't focused on that.
Oh,
That's,
no, yours might. Okay, look, I was going to mention this earlier. Now's as good a place as any. One of the
Cool.
distinctions when you were saying, JR, about if white people are being beaten in the streets, or Can you turn the-
God damn it, Allo! You
I know, it's always aloe.
horses and
Oh my
cars.
god.
Always aloe.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't even mean to unmute.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the differences is like the difference between how women think and how men think. If another white person is shot dead in the streets and it's like a bad shoot or whatever, the rest of most of the white people say whatever. If a black person is shot that way, that's not the reaction. It's like, this is a big fucking deal, in the same way that if something happens to a woman, it's a big fucking deal. Whereas if it's on the basis of it's happening to another male, most of the other guys say, yeah, but shit happens.
Well, there's two things. Black people are more theatrical when it comes to some things, but context is very important to us. Like, you're not going, if a white person is shot by another white person, everybody's gonna be like, oh my god, but whatever. If a black person is shot by another black person, like just a crime that happened, it's gonna be, oh my god, whatever. Now, if a black person is shot by a cop, most black people are going to keep their fucking mouth shut to see what's going to happen. You're going to have those fucking ignorant assholes who run out and be like, oh my god, this is what my parents told me about. The racism is real. And you got people like me who aren't going to say shit until you see what happens. When you have, like, let's take Michael Brown, for example. You got these cops who say, okay, we're going to investigate. Or no, they don't investigate. They just say it was a legitimate shooting. And then you have people looking into it and videos start popping up, and then they're like, okay, we're going to investigate, we promise. And then they start investigating, and they're like, we're going to look at the autopsy, and we're going to show exactly what this guy was doing and how he was shot. And right before they release the autopsy, they say, oh, and by the way, he robbed the store. Strong arm robbed the store right before he got killed.
And what I'm saying,
so they're setting a narrative.
If Michael Brown had been white and the white officer had been black, the white people, by and large, would have still said shit happens.
We don't have a system where where black people are holding majority of the power over white people.
Okay, Gerald.
That's just not a reality that we live in.
I'm gonna do three things here. First of all, I'm gonna respond to what you've just said there by pointing out something that I saw in an article after the incident you're talking about with the Michael Brown thing, and that was I can't even remember where I saw this, and maybe somebody else saw it as well and can enlighten me as to where I saw this. But basically, the argument was something along the lines of the difference between white communities and black communities is if a criminal gets shot going about a criminal activity, a white community tends to go, well, they got what was coming to them. And a black community is more likely to say, you shot a black person, that's racist. And
I'm
to
gonna need
me,
you to show me a
I
white
found
person
that,
who was shot by jaywalking, though.
well, dude,
That's
I,
the crime he was
I,
committing.
no,
No, Michael
I'm not
Brown was not
advocating.
committing jaywalking.
I'm not advocating for that argument. I actually found that argument to be a little bit racist in and of itself. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to suggest that maybe this is again going back to what this channel's about. If there's anybody out there in the chat who has never been a part of this show or has never come and joined us on our platform, if you want to come and address these topics, please let us know in the chat, and we'll invite you on here, because that's something we do, and we'd love to hear from you.
Speaking of which, we have a question from the chat, actually.
Yeah, well, that was my next point, addressing
Go
that
ahead.
question from chat, and this goes back to something Magic and Aloe that we discussed, and I'd like to hear Aloe's take on this from his perspective as well, which is a big aspect of the way that crime in black communities is reported. It's reported from this perspective, and we're talking about American black communities specifically here. The way that it's reported is often from the perspective of, well, the problem is these young black gangs, and how there's this gang culture in black communities. And I suggested that completely ignores the wider context of black communities, and one of the predominant factors in black communities is that they have this very matriarchal aspect to them, where and this answers the question of, the question was, how does the issue of rampant single parenthood play into these issues? And a big aspect of black communities in America is that they have this very matriarchal approach to the way that they raise their families, and a big part of that is it stems from, hey, the mother is God.
So,
and
in
father
other
is
words, you
awesome.
want to shift the conversation to race into gender.
See, but
Well, no,
single,
I want to. This is
Also, I'm just gonna let
these,
you know.
these things are interconnected. So,
but
you know.
single parenthood in America is a direct correlation with laws. Like, you have laws that say if you're going to collect child support, the father of the child cannot live in the home with you. So, so that puts the guy out on the street. And then you have laws that say, no matter who you have sex with, we're going to support you no matter what. We're going to make sure that bastard pays. Whether he knew he was getting you pregnant, whether he had sex with you, it doesn't matter. You're going to pay. So I don't need a man in the household if the government is paying me.
Amen.
You know what I
Preach
mean?
it, sister.
Yeah.
So it's like every fucking issue. It's a whole list. It's a whole bunch of shit plus time that causes this shit to happen.
Like I said in the previous stream we were doing, one of the causal factors is the disconnection between privileges and responsibilities. You can get all the privileges now, but you don't have to undertake the obligations that used to attend to those privileges.
Well, no, because if you hold a woman accountable for her actions, you're basically attacking that woman for the situation that she finds herself in. Meanwhile,
I like that expression that they find themselves in. They just didn't wake up one day and, how did I get these 5 kids? Where'd they come from?
Hey,
These people made decisions that have consequences.
No. Women don't make decisions. We live in a patriarchy.
Sorry. I mean, it didn't happen that she woke up with those 5 kids. A man made a decision, and she has to bear the consequences.
A man made a decision, maybe at the beginning, but she omitted 50 fucking decisions after that man made that one decision.
Oh, details and semantics. Shut up.
Right. But
victim blamer. She's the victim of motherhood.
But that's how our society is built. We don't believe that women should be held accountable for their actions or anything that they do, because we all accept that women are emotionally imbalanced and can't control themselves to an extent. So we give them a pass.
No, it's worse than that. We actually incentivize bad decisions.
Can I just throw in
it's just circular.
Does anybody see an intersection between a lot of these problems, both with the gender stuff and with this race stuff, with the welfare state? And I immediately back to it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I
just
do.
think we incentivize bad decisions. Like, oh, if you have another kid, we'll let you stay on welfare longer.
We
Well-
incentivize bad decisions and we punish good decisions.
Yeah.
Like, let's say you're on welfare and you're starting a job. Well, as soon as you start that job, your welfare cuts out. Well, you still got to eat.
It's
So-
called the welfare cliff, actually. The financial planning term for it.
Where it's not
Why aren't we pushing people off of it? I'm just curious.
but we are
Because if you do, then you're racist and you hate poor people and you hate women and you hate children and you're just a mean, racist, old white Republican.
well.
Yeah, but that's all true. But still, why aren't we pushing them off?
See, but this is how Republicans can counter that. They can say we're going to scrap this system where we're paying people to not have jobs, and we're going to put X amount of money into job to help people find jobs. Like the North do. But not
how to
expensive.
take a good
Yeah,
metaphor
but usually
and,
when governments
push
make
it
jobs,
beyond-
they usually just pay people to dig holes and then fill the holes in.
You know how many fucking holes the government is making right now? We need somebody to fill them fucking
We
holes.
do need
Well, with all-
infrastructure, but at the same time, I'm not down with that.
Wait,
But
but
it's
it's-
a
well,
nice idea
okay,
to pick.
but this is
With all that gang violence between you black folks, we can fill a lot of holes.
right. But here's the problem with that. Right now, we're giving people money to not be productive. So would you rather pay people to be productive, or would you rather pay people to not be productive?
Well, hang on. If that productivity involves like clearing up after the unproductivity of the people you already paid, then no, I'd rather that not be a thing.
So you'd rather pay people to not be productive?
No, I'd rather not have paid those people in the first place.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think his default
But
position
them the two options that we have. Right now, we're paying people to not be productive. We're
But do you see
punishing
how
people
you're-
for being productive.
But your option, the way you presented that, is basically contributing further to the problem. What you're saying is we should employ people in the first place to be unproductive, and then pay more people to clear up the fucking mess. That these unproductive people have made.
No. The unproductive system goes away. That's what I'm saying. You pay. Okay, you don't have a high school degree. Well, we have these fucking streets that need to be cleaned. Or we have these fucking kids who need to be fed breakfast before school. So what you're going to do is you're going to fucking either make some grits or you're going to fucking make some eggs. Pick your poison every fucking morning, all year long.
So you're talking about putting a lot of black people into the kitchen?
I am talking about putting a lot of anybody. Majority of the people on welfare in the United States are white people. You fucking racist.
Yeah, I know.
JR,
Hopefully we all know that.
Is
Focus
that
on-
per capita?
Focus
Per
on what you
capita.
just said. When white people are the victims of things,
So JR,
the rest of us
we've
shrug our
actually,
shoulders and say, "So what?"
Yeah,
We've
let's
actually
remember in
covered- We've covered this
Appalachia.
conversation before, where we've talked about the inherent bureaucracy in government in America, and it's insane.
The
A good
bureaucracy is
example of
not going to
that.
go away though.
Let the
Well,
British guy
it
teach you
probably-
about the law in America.
It probably-
I don't think that
Jimmy,
Tennessee
hey,
Valley
Magic,
Authority ever
out
took
of the-
any black
out of the
person's
two of
land.
us- Out of the two of us, who has been married to an American who is part of the bureaucracy of America?
Okay, you got a point, but I still
Yeah,
just
yeah,
go to
suck my
Vegas.
dick,
Yeah, his
Oh,
woman
I
is American. You bastard. You
I know
Actually,
this-
I do
no, no,
have
no.
a
I
friend
know
on
this
Steam
ar-
listening.
Whoa,
I-
one
I-
at a
he has
time,
a
one at
theory.
a time, guys.
I know this argument. That argument is no. That argument is. I know what I'm talking about. I have a black friend.
My friend is black.
Yeah.
You
No, no, no,
racist.
no, no. Look, here's the thing. I
I stuck my dick in an American.
Wait, so
I know.
I
what
stuck
you're
my dick
saying
in
is-
American, so I don't.
Are you saying that your fucking dick is a data port? If you download information through your dick, is that what you're saying?
Look, if I can download herpes, I can download information. But here's the thing, right? The thing that we've discussed is the kind of the bureaucratic nonsense that takes place in America. And you're talking about, for example, and I know Will back me up on this, the massive administration centers that you have, and this is pertinent to me because I experienced this firsthand. The massive administration centers you have for example, education, where the majority of the budget in a state is going towards administrators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than, for example, the teachers that are actually directly responsible for.
Okay, let me just throw something in. When you try and make the system more efficient and cut the administrators out, streamline it so that, say, the education money goes to teachers and not to whatever, the unions conflate, they're all in the teachers union, all the administrators. And so they say, you are going after teachers. You're trying to cut the wages of teachers, blah, blah, blah. None of them are teachers. They're going after the goddamn administrators. They're eating up half the budget or more. And you can't get, there's nothing you can do. You have to destroy the entire political establishment just to reform anything. I mean, you have to go in there scorched earth, flamethrower to the face, and cackle as they burn. And if you're not willing to do that, then you can't change anything.
I see a solution. We have a lot of gangbangers who need jobs. We could hire them as a mafia.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with that argument, Wayne. Those administrators already exist. Those administrators are already being paid to do a half-assed job administering poor people, non-working people's finances. But I'm not trying to solve the administrator problem. I'm trying to solve the mentality of these girls growing up thinking that all I got to do is sit on my back, shit out like 5 babies, and then I'm set for life. I'm trying to get rid of that concept where you have people who...
Are you saying when a black woman has a baby, it's like...
I'm talking about them white bitches. I'm talking about them white bitches that had them 5 kids.
Are you saying
not the black people, just the white people? This system that I'm proposing only applies to white people.
Okay, so we're getting back onto.
But let me finish. Let me finish. I wasn't done yet. That's what I'm trying to do. This is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to change. I'm trying to change the mentality of, well, this built-in ingrained hopelessness of, I come from a poor community, therefore I'm gonna be poor, so all I can do is try and survive by doing this. I want kids to be able to go to school and get the education they need so they can grow up and they can get the jobs that they need. I don't want to make this system where you got kids who are barely getting by when they're kids and they grow up barely getting by, so they get used to barely getting by, and then they say, well, I can do this. I can either work my ass to death barely getting by doing this job, or I can just sit at home on my ass and barely get by getting a check from the government. I want to minimize that option. You're not going to eliminate it because some people just can't work. Some people just suck at life.
But JR,
Magic. Apparently,
let me finish, and it will be you.
Apparently, we have a complaint from chat. And,
no, I don't care. After. But JR.
With respect, dude.
My point was that you're suggesting that there is a serious lack of entrepreneurship. There's a serious lack of entrepreneurship in your analogy because you cannot start your own business in your analogy. So yeah.
Yeah, because
why can't you start your own business?
The government keeps shutting down all the crack houses, which is rude.
Wait, but no. Why in my analogy wouldn't you be able to start your own business?
Yeah, I'm not seeing the link here, Magic. To be fair.
Yeah, no, but
French people and their bullshit.
I can explain it if you want.
Yeah, go ahead, Justicar.
You're talking about there's this spirit of I can either get this money doing nothing or I can get this money doing something. That dynamic only applies when the doing something is getting a job that someone else has created in a company or a business or another government facility that has been created elsewhere. Entrepreneurship is a way out of that. People can create their own businesses, and then they've broken both systems, provided they're successful.
Exactly.
Well, but that's counterintuitive, and this is why. Because we have people who grew up in a household that received public assistance who became entrepreneurs. We forget that people who are doing better than they're doing now want to do better than they're doing. They don't just say, okay, I'm making this much, so I'm not going to look for a better job.
We
I'm
have
not going to
Ben
go and get my
Carson.
education. I'm not going to do this. When you're getting welfare, you have no options. If you do anything, you jeopardize the welfare that you're getting right now. If you go to school, you jeopardize the welfare that you're getting. If you get a job, you jeopardize the welfare that you're getting.
When you apply the same logic to someone who decides to pursue a criminal career in, say, for example, dealing illicit substances.
Well, yeah, I complained about them shutting down those entrepreneurs in the crack houses.
Well, as long as the entrepreneur is not infringing on the life, liberty, or property of anybody else at any point in time, I see no reason why they shouldn't be able to conduct business as long as their weights and measurements are also correct.
So as long as they have some sort of
so somebody sells you a dime bag, but it's actually
right,
0.8.
As long as the 8-ball weighs the general 8-ball weight is good.
So basically, as long as
3.5 on the motherfucking dot. If I give you money for an 8-ball that's 3 grams, I'm gonna fucking bust your teeth.
Right. Hashtag
so
stop cutting my stash.
As long as they're not trading dishonestly and they're not harming other people in order to make their income, you're okay with that?
Yeah. I am.
Okay. So it's so basically what you're saying then is that these criminal activities that are happening.
Why are they criminal?
He's saying
that's how the law defines it.
He's saying black crack matters.
Black crack matters.
Prostitution,
black market matters.
So these criminal activities, as they're defined by the state, not necessarily by whatever fucking politics you prefer to follow. These criminal activities that are quite rife in black areas. Would you say then that these are an attempt to break that narrative, to in fact avoid those two things that we specifically spoke about?
Oh God, no.
Wait. Aloe has a question.
Excellent. Let's have it.
Yo, I got a question. What do you think about, I mean, this probably is for JR too, though. What do you think about the way that they teach, like the current way they teach how slavery went down? I'm not saying anybody's just guilty for it, but what do you think about the way they teach it?
Are you talking about the
Can you be more specific?
Involuntary immigrants thing?
Yeah, no. What he's talking about is how all the opprobrium about slavery is put on the heads of the slave master. No one ever tries to factor in the slave's complicitness in their being slaves.
Or the other black people that sold them to the white people.
White slave masters matter.
Yeah. No. The question is, what did the slaves do wrong to get there in the first place?
I have a really fucking out there question then for you, JR, and for you, Aloe. Would you have preferred that your ancestors had not been slaves to begin with, and that you were born? Let's assume that your parents still, their ancestors and what have you, still got together, but there was no slavery. Your ancestors hadn't been dragged over to America. Would you have preferred to have been born in Africa?
I found out my ancestors.
I think Africa would.
So I'm good. I would no.
I think Africa would look totally different than it looks right now if slavery never existed.
There'd be a lot more black people there.
Well, no, yes, there would be a lot more black people there, but what's the wealthiest resource, the richest resource continent on the planet?
Oh, okay, it's the diamond blood mines.
You've taken this to a different place to what I was asking. I'm not suggesting that slavery didn't exist. I'm just basically saying that your ancestors, for whatever reason.
Oh, just mine. They got through the bush fine.
Yeah, just yours. Would your life have been better or worse?
I wouldn't exist because half of my family is white.
Oh, okay. Look, we're assuming then. Okay.
Does that cause you inner turmoil knowing that half of your family is oppress the other half?
Half of my family, half of my body is oppressing me right now. Like my grandfather's father was white.
President Obama can feel your pain.
My grandfather's father was white, and my grandmother's father's father was white. So
one thing I wanted to...
that makes you like what, 1/8 white?
So
I don't fucking know.
So you're
Whoa,
saying
Okay,
whoa,
so
you're saying you don't have a big dick, is what you're saying.
let's
No,
assume
no, because
for
most
the
of
purposes
all
of
black
this
people have
analogy
big
then.
dicks.
Whoa, whoa,
That's
whoa,
what-
one at a time,
no, no.
motherfucker. It's
J-
becoming a
JR,
shit show, okay?
let's assume-
Screenshot or it didn't happen.
Let's
Yeah,
assume for
bro.
the purposes of this analogy that
And
your
next to a ruler.
ancestors still
I got a
managed to
ruler right
somehow hook
now,
up.
and if you got a ruler, we can screenshot our dicks together, and we'll see which one's bigger, my white dick or your black dick.
I'll be the judge. I'm totally
I
impartial.
got a ruler right next to me, so I can measure my dick right next to a ruler.
I'm
Okay, so
completely impartial.
look. In the spirit of getting answer to this question, let's assume, for example, that your ancestors somehow managed to hook up. Let's say your white ancestors, I don't know, they visited
went on
Africa.
vacation.
Your great
Went on
great white
vacation to
grandpa with
They
a
went,
smaller
they went on
dick.
holiday. They were. I mean, whatever fucking narrative you want. Maybe they got fucking raped by a black woman. I don't know.
So are you
But-
asking me if I had the chance, would I move back to Africa right now?
Well, yeah.
Like, if
What
I
I'm
never
asking
came
you is do you think there are advantages to basically
Western
being-
society?
Actually,
I'm a result of Western society, so of course I think Western society is better than,
Okay.
say,
No,
Bushism.
the question is slightly more precise than that. If
Mhm.
we could get you halfway back to Africa, would you go?
Well, I've been back to Africa, and it was amazing.
Okay.
I was talking to Aloe the other day, and he was talking about how people in his community, and do keep in mind, Aloe lives in kind of a weird part of the U.S.
Losing.
Yeah, and apparently they've got a thing where they don't do business with the white people. They've got this thing where they have businesses, and they try and keep all the money internal within the community. So money comes in, but it doesn't go out, or at least that's the theory.
It
Yeah,
doesn't go out
um,
as fast as it
we
would
put
if they did businesses with white people.
Right. So anyway, I was
um,
just curious if Aloe, maybe I'm misrepresenting what our conversation. So maybe he could define that again for himself, and then
Basically,
maybe
the
he could comment on
concept
it.
is the way it is when black people generally don't spend their money on their own community. They because the white communities have better stuff.
Are there
Yeah.
Pan Africans in your area? Fucking.
Alo, I have one question then for you. Where did the dealers buy their drugs from?
The
Yeah,
Mexican.
if they can't get them from the
The
CIA,
Mexicans.
where
Wait.
it's all the white people.
You believe the gangs buy their drugs?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about the original sources. I know most of
Are-
them get their sources from Mexico.
Wait, are you saying that the gangs don't buy their drugs?
Yeah.
No, I'm not
Mexico, and then they
saying
deal them
that
out,
they
and then they deal them out to the streets.
I'm not saying that black gangs steal their drugs.
Well, they technically steal their drugs because they get a tip from one of the crooked FBI agents who tell them where the drugs are going to be stored.
Why are you
But they
always
gotta pay
blaming the
for
white
that tip.
devil?
Because the white devil is keeping me down, man. It's keeping me down.
Look, I've done everything I can to help the black man up. I took my foot right off the back of his neck. You
Right.
got to do the
You
rest.
You took your pay for the drugs. What more can you do? But yeah, like it's crazy. Like there's a Pan-African movement where they're saying we don't want to go back to Africa. We want to just keep our roots connected to Africa.
There you go again, mentioning
So
roots.
so you got like, well, I'm black, I can do that.
There's no big that is that. There's no tree that is that big though.
What do you mean? Tell that to all of the fucking congressmen in the United States Congress who are fucking by what is it called, by dual citizenship of Israel.
Oh, now
It's
you're
like
gonna
it's
bring
like
the
it's like
Jews into
20 of them.
this.
It's like 20 of them.
Everything
It's
turns
like
out to
20
be
of
about
those
the
damn
Jews.
Jews.
Fucking Jews.
But let me guess, it's a Jewish conspiracy to have
Jews-
dual citizenship.
Who started slavery? It was the Jews.
Black
Jews
people.
started slavery.
Dude, and actually, the trans-Sahara slave trade started really early. We're talking about
Actually-
before 1000 AD.
If you read the most historically accurate
See, it's the
document,
fucking Jews. Hitler was right.
if you read the
Hitler
most
was
historically accurate document, you'll learn that God started slavery.
That doesn't count. That doesn't count. But who wrote the Bible though?
God.
Fucking Jews. Fucking Jews.
I mean, and if
Well, they
English,
were
look, if
most
English is
of
good
the
enough for God, it's good enough for me.
But you gotta let them go after 7 years.
Wait.
Not
we
if you
didn't read
trick
that
them
part.
into marrying your daughter.
We didn't
Yeah.
read that part.
What if you trick them into marrying your transgender son?
Yeah.
Even better.
Even better. How? How
you,
is it
sir,
better?
then you, sir, will have a very lucrative porn career.
Hey.
So
Great.
did we run out of topic, or we can still
Did
go
we
on for a while?
fuck
What are you
run out
talking
of
about?
topics?
I'm waiting for my opening to drag it back and kick in and screaming to the topic.
Why,
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude. I think we
why
can
are
beat this
black
horse
people so
forever.
violent?
Because
Yeah, why do
it
you
was
have to
bred
drag it,
into us
dude?
through slavery. That's why black people beat their kids, because of slavery.
I thought it was because
I-
they deserved it.
I thought
That's
I
'cause
thought
you're a racist.
slavery bred compliance and good behavior into black
Yeah,
people.
no, actually, it's the reason black parents beat their kids is because the kids are black.
Is that why? Is that
Like, you need to get used to this shit, boy.
Because a white man's gonna do it to you. Would you rather? You got people who make the argument, I gotta whoop my kids because the cops are gonna do it worse.
And then they do a half-ass job. They use a belt instead of like a hammer or something,
So, yeah, are
Yeah,
those
'cause
parents
they're not
then
trying to-
or
are
a
those parents
toaster.
then disappointed when the cops do a half-ass job?
Me too. Especially when I was on the job, I'm like, oh, why are we phoning this in? Let's beat this guy.
Right. Come on. He's
Let's
black. What
let's-
else does he need to do? What else
let's-
do we need to know? He's black. Come on.
Let's beat him like Harriet Tubman is his best friend.
Yeah. Tell us where that bitch just taking the slaves. Right?
So you've been there. You feel my pain. So, Will, are you really a cop?
Me? I'm not a cop at all, no.
Okay.
He's a drug dealer. What are you talking about?
No, I thought earlier you mentioned that you were a new cop or something, but there was a bit of a heated exchange, so I couldn't quite make out
No,
what
no,
was being said.
that was just, no one knew what was being said at that point.
Will says that a lot.
Brandon
He's just
Stout.
like, I'm a cop. He impersonates a cop a lot.
If you look at his picture from a glance, it looks kind of like an Ewok.
He does look like an Ewok.
It looks like Darth Vader's, like the right side of Darth Vader's face.
That's bizarre. Hello said the exact same thing.
Because it looks
No
like
one
the right
else has
side of
said that.
Darth Vader's face.
I think it looks like Darth Vader pulling the foreskin
That's a
back.
fucking black person hive mind.
Yeah, it's just a black thing. What the fuck?
Do you guys know what Darth Vader looks like?
You gonna take a
Oh
picture?
yeah, bro. We all know.
Wait, are you gonna take a picture next to a ruler and send
Do
it
we
to
mean
us?
like?
You know, I know what he.
Do we
I
mean
know what
the
he
outside
doesn't
of the
look
Oreo
like.
of Darth Vader, or his white inside after you crack it?
You know what it is? You know what it is? Why you guys can't see it? Because you're thinking of Darth Vader being black when we're looking at the picture and actually seeing what
I
it
never
is.
thought Darth Vader was black. I don't think any white person thought Darth Vader
Yeah,
was
yeah.
black.
Darth Vader was blatantly a white guy. What the
Yeah,
fuck?
look.
He even had a white son. What the fuck's wrong with
Yeah,
you?
he wasn't like, hey yo, you will feel the power of the Force, motherfucker.
Look, when
What are you talking about?
When I saw
He
Darth
was
Vader,
exactly like that. He was like, "Bitch, I'm your father."
when
That white boy was
No,
like,
he definitely
"Oh,
did.
it's
When I
right."
saw
like,
Darth
let me-
Vader,
Your mama sucked that dick.
when I saw Darth Vader, I only thought that white man has a black voice.
Yeah.
I was like, that.
Black boy.
I said, I saw this back in the '70s, and I said, Darth Vader is a wigger.
How racist are you? How racist are you that you saw a guy in a full suit? None of his skin is showing, and you just assumed that he was fucking white. Fucking racist.
Well,
he
he wasn't charged. so.
He's got power, right? He's
I
got power.
wasn't
He's
seeing any
authority.
black people in the Star Wars universe at that point yet, so I figured in the long ago in the galaxy far, far away, they just solved that issue.
See,
I saw this meme.
I only assumed he was white after he revealed himself as the father of a white person.
I saw this meme.
And then you just assumed.
I saw this meme earlier this
I
way.
assumed that biology being what it is, that he must therefore himself, because Luke certainly wasn't half caste.
I saw this meme earlier this week where it was an Ewok and a Care Bear sitting next to each other, and it said Ewoks are just Care Bears who had a drug issue.
Oh,
Like, you fucking assholes. Like, and lost their powers. Got a drug issue and lost their powers.
You mean they ain't got that Care Bear there no more? I sense the stirrings of a classic blues track.
Like, how many black people were in two black people in
Oh
Star
yeah,
Wars.
but dude, you had Lando Calrissian. I mean,
But-
come on, Billy
Yeah,
Williams
Lando was cool.
like,
He was just a pimp and a fucking traitor to his friends. So you saying
Yeah,
that
he
the
wasn't
the
cool.
one black guy in the
no,
movie
no,
was
no,
also a pimp
no,
and a fucking
That's
traitor.
that's unfair on Lando Calrissian, dude. He tried to do what was best for his people before his friends. In fact, if anything, he's almost noble because of
He
that.
was a fucking Uncle Tom.
He put his personal
He sold out
connections
his people.
second. No,
He
dude,
sold out his people.
Dude, he put his personal connection second because he put his people first.
And
That's
his
kinda
people,
cool.
and his people were the dead Benjamins.
Yeah, I think the
was-
way
he
you're,
had the
I think the
Cloud
way you're
City.
presenting this is the racist fucking viewpoint.
He
I'm
had to
disgusted
protect
with you right
the
now.
Cloud City.
Yeah, he was puffing away in the Cloud City.
He had some responsibilities to his fucking minor brethren, dude, and he's like, he only met the.
Yeah, that's because you
the
don't cross your
protagonist.
dealer. You don't cross your dealer supplier. Duh.
Yeah, dude. He didn't have no fucking vested interest in the fucking
In
heroes
a
of the.
What are you
sense,
talking about? They went to high school
Han
together.
actually
They
kind
were
of
they
fucked him because
Bullshit, dude.
they
brought all that
DP'd
imperial heat
they
down on his head.
DP'd that chick from the class next
Look,
to them.
dude, Lando
were
Calrissian's
close. They were
only
tight.
connection to the heroes of the Star Wars fucking trilogy is he once fucking won a game of sabacc against one of the characters. I mean, come on. Yeah, dude, we gambled together once, dude. So you totally fucking owe me your full allegiance forever
Full
above these
fucking
people that you
exactly.
fucking
And he
involved.
brought all that imperial heat right down on
Yeah,
Lando's
yeah,
head.
bro.
Well,
bro,
okay.
you let me
Dude,
down,
I have
dude.
do
a
you
quick
know
question.
that like playing spades with a black person is like a blood pact? We're brothers forever.
Look, we are
I have a
talking
blood
about
pact.
Star Wars now, so I think we're gonna wrap it up.
I have a quick question. Who has the biggest lightsaber here?
I
Well,
have
we're
a
gonna
burning
find out
laser.
once we get
it
those
is
cameras.
it is 2 watts and it will burn stuff at I don't know.
Why does it
Well,
have to be a lightsaber? Why can't it be a dark saber?
Uh,
That's the real question.
why don't you look into the end of it when I turn it on and we'll see what you think about that.
Do you know what, JR? I have a challenge for you. I'd like you to construct a laser beam out of dark.
Out of dark matter?
No, just
No,
out of
don't-
dark.
challenge
Make,
it.
a,
No, out of
make a
black.
laser beam out of the absence of light.
You can do that. You can do that. You know that.
Oh my god!
It is possible. All you
Racial
got-
physics.
Look, all you have to do.
Physics is real, man.
No,
Physics is a real thing.
Did
all
you
you
hear about those ladies that were furious at the Hallmark greeting card that had an astronomy theme? It was like the singing greeting card, and it said something about black holes, and they're like, "Oh no, it didn't!" And they got all furious at this
I
fucking
believe
greeting
it's. Oh
card,
no, it didn't, girl.
and they thought it was saying black hose.
Wow. Well, you're
yeah.
just dumb.
Oh,
Learn how
It
to
was a-
learn
it was
how to
a-
read.
Type it into Google. It was a big thing. It was all in the news. It was amazing.
That was a joke.
I'm going to make a meme that says, before you can be offended by something, you got to learn how to
I
read.
believe it was megaphoned also by the NAACP as well. I think that's the reason it got around. It wasn't just like 2 random people that were doing this. They
Speaking of Uncle Tom,
There was a joke like that in the movie Joanna Man. But to answer your question about making the dark saber, it's really easy. You just make a lightsaber, but then you turn off all the other lights.
but then you just have a lightsaber in the dark. That doesn't.
Hence a dark saber.
Oh, nice. JR,
So are you saying if the lights aren't on, then your lightsaber is not a lightsaber?
I'm saying if the lights aren't on, it's a dark saber.
JR, I have a suggestion for you. You can cut through all the bullshit. Instead of that campaign, you could just have a hashtag that says education matters.
Yeah, but you
No,
wait,
because then
no,
you'll have
you
ignorant
have
black
to do
people
something.
who think that I'm attacking Black Lives Matter.
No, you can't have that.
well, aren't you?
You can't have that because
Are they
if you
wrong?
say education matters, that doesn't include black people.
Don't you know that everything's about black people? Come on. Everything.
Especially the drug trade.
Hey, Whitey, if you would stop selling drugs to us, we would stop selling drugs to each other.
No,
So you are buying the drugs from white people?
No, you're
Yes.
buying them from the Mexicans. Ask Allo.
No.
Just
Who
told
are
you.
the Mexicans buying the drugs from?
Other Mexicans?
I always thought they
White
made
people. White
No, they're
people.
not.
Yeah, they are.
No, it all comes
CIA
from like
is
Colombian stuff.
Right. And
Colombians?
the Colombian drug lord is a white guy.
Wow.
His,
We need to get Alan
Hello,
on
senor.
here.
I'm the Colombian drug
We need
lord.
to get Alan in here so he can whey at you.
Wait.
Hey, Will and Wayne. Will and Wayne, are you guys doing a hangout after this? So there are fewer people. It's impossible to have a conversation with this many people.
I have no idea.
We'll probably be hanging around for a while afterwards. Yeah, dude.
And
Yeah, sure.
what about P?
Who the heck is Pete?
Yeah, I can do that.
All
I'll
right.
be there if I'm welcome.
What part of Virginia is you from?
I'm from Fairmont, so that's like right below the Mason-Dixon line. Well,
So
no,
that-
it's like
so that-
40 miles below it.
So that's like the Virginia part of Virginia, right?
No, it's West Virginia,
Oh,
the other state.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a state in and of itself, not
Yeah.
Western Virginia.
I know what West Virginia is. West
Well, why are you
Virginia,
asking me where I'm from in Virginia?
to give you an idea,
Yeah.
West Virginia is north of Virginia.
Oh my God, no, it's not. You goddamn retard. Maybe if
So
you
look-
had a fucking map in your
Hey,
school.
Hey, that guy was a federal agent. If he doesn't know, nobody knows.
Maybe
So I've just
I'm serious.
instructed,
If you
I've
go
just
look
been
at West
instructed to
Virginia-
Shillers, dude. And
It
I'm
is
gonna,
slightly north of Virginia.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going to instead
But it's
suggest
also-
that
also west of
Guinness
Virginia.
finally get himself onto his microphone and come and do some shilling on our behalf.
Yes.
Because,
So we're gonna start wrapping up finally.
Yeah, this topic.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Black
So we're-
guys don't know about how to wrap it.
thanks for everybody who's been able to join us. It's been a lot of fun. So everybody, I'm really glad that we were able to do this conversation. And Justicar, you are welcome to come and join us again for some other conversations. It will be very much fun. And thank you to all our viewers who have joined us tonight. Have a good night, everybody. Take it easy.
Good night, shit lords.